What's going on, YouTube? We are back. We are so back. Ready to help you win your week 6 fantasy football matchup. So answering every start sit question. Listen, not being able to stream last Friday and Saturday made me so sad. So I'm so excited to be back on a Wednesday night. And shout out to everyone for being here. Absolutely great. What up, what up, what up? I see the chat's already blowing up. Shout out to Element for being here. Shout out to that song was that beat was produced by Element. And Element, I actually have some more of your beats loaded up to play up in the background as we go today. Our boy Jerger / Jar Jar Binks is up in the building. Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to you guys staying safe during the hurricane. Honestly, stay safe. Try to just enjoy what you can. Stay inside. I don't know if you guys are working or not, but let's get this thing on the road with some start sit questions. And MH got the first one. Like I said, I know the chat kind of loaded in over for me a little bit weird. So we'll start it off, but we're getting to everybody's start sit question here tonight. And we started off here with MH, and he says an 8-teamer trying to free up bench spots without having to drop studs. I have the Vikings defense, and I don't want to drop them. Would you drop Olave, Stevenson, Tyreek Hill, Laporta, Hurts, or Vikings D? Listen, I know you asked me this on another video, and I'm going to go with it. Listen, I understand the Vikings D has been playing good, but I want to keep my studs. And all the guys you're talking about are guys that are going to have value on your fantasy football roster. So 100% for me, I'm going to be just dropping the Minnesota Vikings D, and we'll kind of go from there. But MH, of course, appreciate you tuning in. And then you said, or trade 2 for 1 to free up a spot. Yeah, you could trade Jaden Daniels and Devontae Smith for A.J. Brown, or Jaden Daniels and DK Metcalf, but I'd have to play Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown in the same lineup. Yeah, that trade, MH, I guess it depends on who your backup quarterback is. For me, you're giving up Jaden Daniels, who right now, arguably, you're giving up like the QB1, QB2 in fantasy football, plus a top 13, 14 level wide receiver, if not back end wide receiver 1 to get up to AJ Brown, who's like a wide receiver 6 for me overall. So I'm probably not doing one of those 2-for-1 deals unless you can get a better player than AJ Brown, like a Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type. But let me know who your backup quarterback is, and that might change some things. Theo, appreciate you being here, dude. Thanks so much for tuning in here, supporting the channel, guys. Like I said, I'm excited to get to all your guys' start sit questions. Theo said, Brees or BTJ in a mid 25-second 12-team Superflex Dynasty. Brees or BTJ in a mid 25-second. Ooh. Theo, I guess it depends if you're competing or not. I mean, I think right now, after what we've seen, the safest part is to go from some of these running backs, even a guy like Bijan Robinson or Brees, as much as they are elite level assets in Dynasty, being able to get into a younger wide receiver like a BTJ who is already broken out, and then gaining that additional second, especially like with what we just saw, like the ascension of a Rashee Rice or an ascension of a Nico Collins. I think you already know this. I think I personally lean the BTJ and mid 25-second, but I do think Brees Hall ends up turning it around. So also, guys, let me know what you guys think of this music in the background if you wanted this to continue. Shout out to Element for providing the beats here in the chat. Then we got Tricks. He says, Caleb, since my wide receivers are stacked, do you think I should package one of my running backs, Cook and Jacobs, with a guy like DK or Wilson to get an elite running back like Saquon per se? Since my wide receivers are stacked, yeah, I think if you can package, preferably I would do Josh Jacobs. I know James Cook is potentially injured this week, so you might want to hold on to James Cook. But I do think for me, if I were you, being able to, as much as those guys are elite, being able to tier up, especially at this point in the season, like being able to tier up off of your studs is something that could definitely benefit your overall team, could benefit your overall upside. So that would be easily something that I'm looking to do. So depend on what you said. For like a guy like a Saquon, I would say like a Saquon, an Alvin Kamara. You could even add in a guy like a Jonathan Taylor. I know he's dealing with an injury, so that's a little bit questionable. But yeah, if you can tier up off of that into a better running back for sure, Tricks, let me know what other questions I can answer for you. Like we said, like if you guys are tuning in from the hurricane, shout out to all y'all. Stay safe. Gardaki, I know you put your question in first. Apologies for not coming through first on my chat, but you said, I'm wondering Tracy or Bucky rest of season PPR redraft. I think for me, as much as I loved what I saw from Tracy, I do think I'm still going with Bucky Irving rest of season, just because I do think he's eventually going to overtake. Now, if something happens to Devin Singletary, where Devin Singletary's out for the rest of the year, which we know at this point it's not happening, then of course you would lean with that Tyrone Tracy side. But personally, for me at this current moment, I will be going with Bucky rest of season. Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to all y'all. Jeff, you're back. You said Freiermuth or Schultz this week. Let me pull up. Like I said, we really haven't had a start state question here. So you're the first one, Jeff, up to this point. You said Pat Freiermuth or Dalton Schultz. I personally this week will be going with Pat Freiermuth. I do have him about 5 spots higher than Dalton Schultz. And I know Dalton Schultz is a little bit more intriguing with no Nico Collins. Nico Collins going to that waiver wire. So I understand the thought with Dalton Schultz, but I would be going with Pat Freiermuth. What the interesting question of this will be, Jeff, is if it's going to be Justin Fields starting or if it's going to be Russell Wilson starting. Honestly, I do think if it is going to be Russell Wilson, which Mike Tomlin did not commit to Justin Fields, but he also didn't essentially say that Russell Wilson is going to be starter. So I assume it's going to be Justin Fields. But if it is Russell Wilson, I will probably push Dalton Schultz over that. Element says, Jar Jar, you go, bro, that hurricane is rough. Yeah, it is super rough. What up, what up, what up, what up? Let me play next beat over here by our man Element. Element says, picked up Mooney. I have so many good waiver wire pickups. Hey, Mooney's looking like the second coming of Antonio Brown. I just talked about Darnell Mooney in my video that we'll be releasing tomorrow. It's incredible. It's incredible to see what's up. Trix said, what's good? How you doing? Doing good. We're doing good today, Trix. We're doing good. We're doing good. Good. Element said, Emmett wanted a new ESPN photo. It's a lot better now. Yeah, you guys keep switching up your profile pictures, and it kind of, like, I'm over here looking, and I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting what your guys' profile pictures look like. So, Eddie, appreciate you tuning in. You said, can you please help me choose 3 to start? DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, T. Higgins, Olave, Wicks, and Downs. Wow, Eddie. In 0.5 PPR? That is a lot of good questions to have. Let me pull up my rankings really quick, Eddie, for you. And like I said, guys, appreciate all the love. Shout out to all the comments already flying in. We will get caught up to all of them in a quick second. So first, we will be going with DJ Moore, JMO, T. Higgins. We will be going with T. Higgins for sure. We'll be going with Chris Olave, with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. And then personally, I would also then go with DJ Moore. So I would go with what? So what's that? Moore, T. Higgins, and Olave, which is probably worth where you were kind of looking at going. I think the question kind of goes between DJ Moore and Jameson Williams, personally for me. But I think you got to play DJ Moore versus Jacksonville Jaguars matchup. So great against their cornerbacks. Jar Jar says, Save Flowers. I love that you've made the Jar Jar Binks for your profile here. I love it. Zay Flowers, Christian Kirk, or Wanda Robinson at flex. Also, do we know the status for Rashid Shaheed? He's questionable, but I don't know what happened. Yeah, so I would personally be going with Zay Flowers this week, especially after what we just saw from him this last week. Absolutely incredible. Now, let me get the most recent update. He missed Wednesday practice, which honestly he was a non-participant. So I don't know if it was just like a rest day. Sometimes, like we said, these Wednesday practices, it's kind of hard. What we'll know is like Thursday, does he get like a limited tag or a questionable tag? And then Friday will kind of be the big day for Rashid Shaheed to know if he's going to play or not on Sunday. So personally for me, I still go with Zay Flowers. But Rashid Shaheed, shout out to him for balling 18 fantasy points versus Kansas City, was huge. If you guys haven't hit the like button, hit that like button. It helps me out so much. Element said, very thankful for not trading or even dropping Ayuk. Dude, you were trying to. You were trying to for a while. You said, anyways, for flex, Wandell, Mooney, Dell, or Jacobs. I also have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ayuk starting at wide receiver 1 and 2, so you can move them around too. Yeah, great question. So really for me, we're looking at this. I talked about Tank Dell in my video today about how we're low-key panicking on him. I know a lot of people are like, well, Nico Collins is out. Well, Nico Collins got injured in the first quarter, and Tank Dell still wasn't able to do anything during the game. So I'm still a little bit worried about Tank Dell, but I'm just double-checking where I'm still leaning Josh Jacobs here, Element, just so you know, but I'm just trying to see how close Darnell Mooney is in my rankings. Yeah, I'm still going with Josh Jacobs, but Darnell Mooney definitely made a significant push up. I just don't think I could tell you as much. I have Darnell Mooney as my wide receiver 22, which is a huge jump up, and I still have Josh Jacobs higher. So roll with some Josh Jacobs. Element. We got next question. We got MH said Jalen Hurts is my backup quarterback. Oh yeah, for sure. If you got 2 top 5, then I would do that deal, MH. for sure. Jar says, is Dak Prescott fine to start at QB, or should I stream a Geno Smith or someone similar off the waiver? Jar, dude, you just need to wait and be patient on the videos. We're putting out a must-start video tomorrow. We talk about 2 quarterbacks, and one of those quarterbacks is Dak Prescott. I do have Dak Prescott as a top 8 quarterback this week. I think the matchup is exceptional for him. I like CeeDee Lamb. I like Jalen Tolbert, but especially versus Detroit, the line in Vegas is great. So they're going to have to be passing the ball a ton. So give me some Dak Prescott. Feel very comfortable with him this week. Element says, I can't hear the music, by the way. Whoa. Well, I think it keeps stopping every so often, Element. So I can turn it up just a slightly bit. But let me know. Let me know how that is. Trix said Javonte stock is still rising. Trix, you are on the Javonte train. You've always been on the Javonte train, and it is definitely rising. John says, been starting Freiermuth, got Njoku on my bench. Hawkinson on waivers. Which of the 3 do you think I should keep? Also, is P. Ryan droppable? Thanks. Yeah, P. Ryan's 100% droppable. We talked about how Kareem Hunt was going to be the running back to own. I think everything we saw this last week proved that Kareem Hunt is the running back to own. So hopefully you have Kareem Hunt in the sense that Samaje Perine, get that boy out of here. Samaje Perine can safely be dropped. In regards to Freiermuth, Njoku, and Hawkinson on waivers, I think I do. Let me pull up my rest of season rankings just so I can give you. It's hard for me to tell you. I think I want TJ Hawkinson above David Njoku just with the quarterback situation in Cleveland, but I would keep Pat Freiermuth and TJ Hawkinson, and then I would just drop David Njoku, John. That's what I would do if I were you. Thanks for tuning in. Element said, as a Cowboys fan, put your trust in Dak. Really big week for him, and he's probably going to get back on the same page as CD this week. Element, the Cowboys fan, lets us know exactly with what we should be doing. Steel Horse said, Nico is hurt, but still have Higgins, Neighbors, Reed, and Pickens. Steel, that's what we love to see. This is why if you draft good high upside wide receivers, as much as having like an elite level player like Nico Collins get hurt, you are able to then add in a guy like a Jaden Reed into your lineup, or even you drafted Malik Neighbors, not expecting him to have to be the one, but he is being able to be the one, and T. Higgins is stepping up. So I like that for you. Hopefully it goes well this week. I have A.J. Brown returning in a bunch of lineups this week, so I'm pumped. Eddie, you said I got offered Breece Hall for CeeDee Lamb. I got A.J. Brown back today. I'm 2-3, still in the playoff race, and I'm thin at running back. I have Aaron Jones to be robbed. Should I play it out? Yeah, just play it out. Eddie, I'm not risking, at this point after what we've seen, as much as I love the upside of a Breece Hall, there's no way I'm trading A.J. Brown straight up for Breece Hall. I'd have to get Breece Hall plus something, a pretty significant something for me to give up for A.J. Brown. Appreciate you tuning in. Trick said, should I pick up Ridley? My wide receiver core is dead now without Nico. Yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley has upside. Now, it hasn't shown up on the fantasy football field yet, but if he shouldn't probably be on waivers, depending on how big your league is, Tricks. Jar says, should I drop or try to trade Tua? I have Tua on IR, but Nico just went on IR, so I want to open up a spot. Who should I target to replace Tua? Yeah, I would honestly drop Tua at this point, as much as I know he's going to be returning in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's hard to bank on a guy coming off of a concussion to really be that type of elite level player. So I'm personally going to be dropping him, especially if you have another QB option, and then looking to stash a running back or a wide receiver there, Jar. Element said, I do believe that Dalvin Cook should play, but with how Rico played on Sunday into Monday, probably don't. I'm not high on Dalvin Cook. No, I'm not high on Dalvin Cook. Tua, I don't want to say he's cooked. I don't want to say that he's at a good spot either. Anthony says, I'm here, champ. Be right back. Just got home with groceries. I'm always doing something. Anthony, you're always busy when we're streaming on Wednesday nights, but dude, I always appreciate you being here in the stream. MH said, Jalen Hurts is my backup. Cool. Yeah, I would do that trade, MH. Trick said, so would you rather have DK or get Wilson rest of the season? Definitely going to be going with CD and AJ Brown as my 1 and 2. Traded for Waddle as well. Some good moves there, Tricks. Honestly, I still have Garrett Wilson higher than DK rest of season. Now, is he always going to be getting 20 plus targets like he did in this London game? Probably not. But I do think you have to consider that Garrett Wilson still, if we haven't seen that full breakout. Like, I felt like it was a breakout game on Sunday in that London game, but still there's a lot more on that bone for Garrett Wilson, and I think it's close, but I still do have Garrett Wilson a little bit higher, Tricks, rest of the season. Apple Cod, appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for tuning in to the channel. You said, hey, what do you think about this trade? Travis Etienne and Mattson for Jordan Addison and Kareem Hunt. I'm nervous about Pacheco coming back. I heard 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, this is the thing with Kareem Hunt, that when we're viewing Kareem Hunt, and when we're viewing Isaiah Pacheco probably is most likely going to return somewhere around week 12 to week 13, which is going to be valuable, but someone's going to have to hold Isaiah Pacheco on the IR that whole time. So we really have another 5-ish weeks of Kareem Hunt, assuming that he stays healthy. Personally, for me here, I feel like you're getting the better two players in the Jordan Addison and Kareem Hunt side. I understand trading away Travis Etienne. You probably could get a better player back 1-for-1 for Travis Etienne. But Alexander Mattison, like I said, he's kind of end of the waiver wire stash / potential stash candidate. Even though he's been getting the volume, it hasn't been great volume. So personally for me, I'm with that Jordan Addison and Kareem Hunt side because we need you to get into the playoffs. We can't wait for Travis Etienne to kind of turn it around. And Tank Bigsby's been looking really good. So I appreciate you, Apple Cod. Blizzard said BTJ, Brian Robinson, Etienne Dobbins, Devontae Smith need to start 3 of these. Thanks. Yep. So we will do Devontae Smith, number 1. We will do, I'm trying to think where I was so confident in my answer. And then I was like, I probably need to double check the rankings because I was trying to remember where I had B-Rob in comparison to BTJ. Yeah, so we'll go with Devontae Smith, Brian Robinson, and then we will be going with Brian Thomas. Playing Brian Thomas over J.K. Dobbins, that's interesting, but Brian Thomas has kind of been on a little bit of a heater here the last 2 weeks, so we'll continue riding the wave. So BTJ, Devontae Smith, and Brian Robinson is what I would do here, Blizzard. Appreciate you. Fantasy Football Girl, hey, full PVR, Justin Fields or Kirk Cousins. Appreciate you, Fantasy Football Girl. I think that raised some discussion on Kirk Cousins after last week and the fact that he threw the ball almost 60 times. Super electric comeback, but I'm still going with Justin Fields this week, assuming that he starts for the Steelers. Fantasy Football Girl, appreciate you tuning in. Tell the husband I said hi if he's not jumping in. Jaime said, what's up, Caleb? Thoughts on this trade? Baker plus Downs for Hurts and Scary Terry. Yes, give me Hurts and Scary Terry side 100%, Jaime. Double win for you. And he said, also, what are your thoughts on Downs' value with Pittman put on IR? So, yeah, we talked about the panic for Michael Pittman today before the IR news got released. So, shout out to all of you for tuning into that channel and tuning out to that video. And, forgive me. Like I said, I recorded that last night before the news came out today. I think the hard part for Downs is it's been great, but it's been great with Joe Flacco. So, with Anthony Richardson coming back, is it going to be this week? Is it going to be next week? That's to be determined, but I'm just a little bit worried about Josh Downs rest of season. Now, his value, of course, gets an uptick with no Michael Pittman Jr., but how much of an uptick, that's kind of the real question with Josh Downs kind of sitting here. So let me give an example of where I have him. I haven't updated my rankings. So right now I still have him as my wide receiver 49. He probably, as we're talking through this, probably gets a bump up to wide receiver 43, but that's going to continue to climb. Especially if he does what he did the last few weeks there, Jaime. Element says Jar Jar Binks is the GOAT Star Wars. Yeah, trust me. If you guys are any sort of Star Wars characters, I do believe that he should have been some type of secret Sith Lord, but that's just me. Applecod said, also, someone sent me a trade, Jonathan Brooks for Dowdle. I own Dowdle. Applecod, it depends on how much risk you want to take here, because for me, I'm a big Jonathan Brooks guy, but Jonathan Brooks is coming off an ACL, and Chuba Hubbard's absolutely balling. So Enrico Dowdle just kind of broke out. So for me, I personally probably keep the Dowdle side, depending on how desperate you need a running back, because Dowdle will have a lot more value here over the next few weeks than a guy like Jonathan Brooks. But if you're pretty loaded at running back and Enrico Dowdle's like a bench piece, I'd probably end up taking the shot on a Jonathan Brooks, because if Jonathan Brooks overtakes Chuba Hubbard by week 8, week 9, week 10, we could be talking about an absolute league winner there. Element says, heck yeah, Dowdle's a good pickup. He should be good. We got the Cowboy fan. Blizzard said offered Wilson, ETN, JMO for Neighbors and Dynasty. Also have Devon, Kyron, Mason, Connor, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Dobbins, and Metcalf, Smith, BTJ, Rome at wide receiver. How much would you be willing to pay? You offered Wilson, ETN, JMO. Yeah, that's probably the max. Blizzard. Some people right now, Malik Neighbors' value is absolutely sky high, ridiculous. And so if you offer up the moon and they want, the moon and stars, I just say, cool, we'll wait. No player's going to be worth more than that. So I probably just hold at that point, Blizzard, honestly. You had to commit to the bit. Yes, you did. Lucas, appreciate you being here. You said, had someone leave a trade out to me from last week, me giving up Nico Collins for Devontae Johnson, and Brian Thomas. It's a 10-team league, and I'm good at wide receiver already take. Yeah, I mean, Nico Collins, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. But I think the fact that you get Brian Thomas and Devon makes me want to take this deal. As much as Devon's been struggling in the offense, Brian Thomas is broken up. So, and you're getting like a free Deontay Johnson in my book. I know it's a 10 team, but I think I'm still taking the bait there on the package side for sure. Elma said, I've started Jacobs every single time this season. The only time I got to take him out, he gets a touchdown. That's what happens. That's what happens. You gotta have trust in your guys. Sometimes Element, all it takes is a little bit of a pep talk, pep talk to him, and all of a sudden they score a touchdown. Should I sell Mason while I can or run with him for one more week? He sold me this past week. So much hype. Yeah. I think it's going to get harder. Jaime, I think the time to sell Mason was probably last week when there was still a little bit of concern with CMC. Now, like the reports of CMC coming out are a little bit better. But, I mean, if you can get out and go sell him for a Brian Robinson, David Montgomery, a Joe Mixon right now, those are players that I would try to do. If you can't get that level of player, then I'm probably just going to hold. Yep, Lucas, I understood it was Deontay. Thank you so much. Jeff says Pittman or Wan'Dale Robinson. Well, Pittman just went on IR, Jeff, so you're going to get stuck with Wan'Dale Robinson this week. Thanks for making that one easy for me. But yeah, put Wan'Dale Robinson into your lineup. Let's put on another. We'll go back to this one. But I loaded up 4 beats for you, Element, just so you know. So we'll rotate through the few. You said, I'm happy to see Dak getting his respect by some people. I've always loved him, and he came from a super tough background. Well, he was like a while ago. Like I feel like his fantasy football season hasn't been the best, but a few seasons ago was absolutely amazing. They do need to get him some more weapons, and maybe Jalen Tolbert turns into a clear 2 for him. Shout out to Unruly Drip. Yo, appreciate you being here. Shout out to Chaka. We just love the profile picture. You said, would you trade Amari Cooper for Montgomery? Easily. Redraft, still feel like Cooper's situation will get better. Yes, I do think it can potentially get better, but I think you're going to have similar level floor, and Amari Cooper has the ceiling, but I think Montgomery is going to be the play that you're going to want week in and week out. So give me Montgomery, especially if you do need that RB2 spot. And then you said, would you trade either Kupp or Neighbors for Hall? No, I'm not going to do it. I know you have good depth. You could probably talk me into Cooper Kupp, depending on how good your wide receivers are here, Chaka. But Neighbors, no can do, comprende. You are keeping Neighbors on your team, bro. You're gonna just enjoy the fruits of your labor with that. Then we got Shaiwan said Brooks and Cooper for T. For T Higgins? Yeah. We got a guy like a T Higgins who I love, and we got the projection that is going to be Brooks. I think for me, at this point, I think you have to take the Amari Cooper and Brooks side, because as much as I do love what I saw from T Higgins last week, I have T Higgins as my wide receiver 25 rest of the season, and I have Amari Cooper as my wide receiver 30 rest of the season. So almost 5 spots for the ability that Brooks could be a game changer for you. I'm going to keep that Brooks and Cooper side there, Shaiwan. Appreciate you. Jackie said start BTJ or Deontay this week. Leaning Deontay right now because of the Bears. Yeah, the Bears, shout out to their secondary for being absolutely elite. But I'm going with Deontay Johnson. I love the heater that Brian Thomas has been on. Of course, I have him ranked as a top 24 wide receiver this week, Jackie. But I got Deontay Johnson. He has pushed up my board as a top 16 wide receiver this week. So give me Deontay Johnson right now versus the Bears. Like I said, appreciate you for tuning in. Unruly said you lost Nico. Wide receivers left. Garrett Wilson, BTJ, Justin Jefferson, JSN Worthy. Now, it's unfortunate. It is definitely unfortunate with your team. But I'll give you this. You're going to be fine. We'll wait out Nico, and we'll continue this path to get that championship for sure. Element said, also looked into, oh my goodness, Florno, I know who you're talking about, who's a wide receiver for the Cowboys. In a few weeks, I think he's going to be a big waiver wire pickup. Really impressive in the preseason. Shout your shot there, Element. Let us know. Shout out to Daniel. He said, yo, need you to bench one, my boy. Okay, we're benching one. Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Montgomery, Jacobs. Oh, goodness, Daniel. I understand why you're asking me this question. I understand. I'm over here. You say it, and I'm like, wow, you got some good options. And so, where do I got? So I know for sure it's not going to be Garrett Wilson. I know for sure it's not going to be Zay Flowers. So then it's between David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs. I think you got to go David Montgomery. Just Josh Jacobs versus Arizona. It's a very good matchup. It's a very good matchup. So I go with Jacobs, Zay Flowers, and Garrett Wilson. You start and you bench David Montgomery. But the fact is that you have those type of decisions. Shout out to you, Daniel. EKZ, appreciate you tuning in. You said, looking to trade BTJ for a running back. Who can I target? Yeah, well, you could just enjoy the fruits of having BTJ onto your team and the fact that we think it's going to be elite. But based on the fact that you think you have, it's going to probably be some sort of hard start-sit decision each and every week. I mean, his value continues to rise, so you can wait. I mean, I think you could probably flip him for like a Ramondre Stevenson, a CMC, and Aaron Jones level running back right now. Or potentially you wait until if he pops off again this week, especially if he does it against the Bears, and then you can flip him for like a Brian Robinson or even get into like a Joe Mixon. But I think right now Ramondre and CMC, Aaron Jones would kind of be the range. Trick says, you got 4 defenses, Washington, Packers, Chiefs, and Chargers. Which do I start and which do I drop for Ridley? Goodness gracious. So we're looking this week. I would be going with the Chargers defense for sure versus Denver. Do you have the Eagles? No, you don't have the Eagles. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would go with the Chargers defense versus Denver. Think it's a pretty good matchup. I know Bo Nix has looked good, but that's where I'm leaning. And then in regards to dropping one for Ridley, so we're playing. So you can't drop the Chargers defense. So it's between the Chiefs, the Packers, and Washington. I wouldn't draft the Chiefs. I would probably drop the Washington defense. Honestly, rest of the season they got some matchups that are interesting. So I would go start the Chargers, drop Washington. Appreciate you tuning in, Tricks. Jaime says, who would you start, Scary Terry or Jordan Mason at flex? You guys have the hardest decisions, and it makes me amazed that, I mean, shout out to all y'all. Y'all draft some really good teams, and so I understand why you're here. You're watching, but I'm benching Scary Terry this week. I'll start some Jordan Mason in full PPR. Jaime, for sure. Like I said, guys, if you guys haven't hit that like button, help me out. Hit that like button. Get into all your guys' start-sit questions here tonight. Unruly Drip says, oh my goodness, I have 2 super chats. Serge, I apologize. Bro, I just saw it. Did not know why that didn't bring me. You said trade Garrett Wilson for Diggs. No, I'm holding Garrett Wilson there, my guy. 100%. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much for always supporting the channel. Thanks for the 2. Just to give you some like background, I do think Stephon Diggs, the next like 3 weeks, elite. I hear you. But I think what we saw from Garrett Wilson this last week made me super excited going forward. Not only the target share, not only that we think, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't even have his best day, and he still was able to make a lot of things happen for Garrett Wilson. So for me, I'm personally holding Garrett Wilson, but it's a lot closer than it was a week ago, and it got a lot closer post Nico Collins news, Serge. And then thank you for the 2 again, bro. Thanks for the 4. You said Devontae Adams to the Jets worries me about Garrett Wilson. Okay. That's a fair topic to bring up. I think the part for me that we need to kind of talk about with Devontae Adams is it hasn't happened yet. And there's still a lot of teams that are kind of in the market. So at this point, I can't worry about the hypotheticals of it. I just have to look at the moment and say, Garrett Wilson versus Stephon Diggs. I want Garrett Wilson in his current environment. Yes, does it hurt a little bit? But I also think Devontae Adams on the other side, they can't bracket Garrett Wilson like they're currently doing for the Jets. So all in all, dude, I'm still holding Garrett Wilson, as I guess what I'm trying to say. And thanks so much for the 4, dude. I appreciate you so much, Serge. And let's get back. Sorry that I didn't get to those earlier, Serge. Appreciate you. We got a ton of questions still, so let me go back up to where we were at. A lot of great stuff. Shout out to all you guys. Yeah. Let me get back to where we were at. EKZ, defense, Jaime. Jordan Mason. Unruly says, someone dropped Deontay. How much fab would you spend? Oh, goodness. Someone dropped Deontay? I mean, he's a top 22 player rest of the season. I mean, I would drop at least 100, if not 110 to 120. Like, you don't see guys like Deontay Johnson just getting dropped like that. I'd drop a ton of money. It's Carmen said, trade Dobbins for Mixon. Yeah, give me Mixon, 100%. It's Carmen, 100%. I don't even have to look at my rankings. I know Mixon's way ahead of J.K. Dobbins, even though J.K. Dobbins has been a league winner this season. Go Pack said, what are your thoughts on Tyreek for our 4-1 and better teams? I have Garrett Wilson, Godwin, and Ayuk. Are you taking Tyreek over any of those guys this season? I have depth to do a package deal. Yeah, that's a great question, Go Pack. Honestly, I'm not. And maybe I talk about Tyreek Hill in my video today. I think we could... I think you could have this discussion. I still want Garrett Wilson. I want Chris Godwin for sure. I think the discussion happens with Brandon Ayuk or Tyreek. So I think honestly, Go Pack, if you wanted to trade Brandon Ayuk straight up for Tyreek Hill, I would do it. But if you're having to add a significant plus to that, or the manager that owns Tyreek is wanting more, I probably wouldn't do it. So I think I'm talking myself into, I could see myself doing the Ayuk for Tyreek sales trade. But at this current moment, if that doesn't happen, then I'm also cool just to hold Brandon Ayuk. So shout out to y'all. PRF said, didn't mean to send that last one. I don't know. Is my chat pulling up super weird, guys? Or am I out of order? Because you said didn't mean to send that last one. What do you think about this trade? You traded Travis Etienne, Chandler Moody for Zach Moss, Scary Terry, and Puka. Oh, I see what you said, PRF. A really strong running back room. Yeah, give me the Scary Terry and Puka side, especially going forward. I like that for you. Shout out to Element. Good question, Serge. Shout out to Serge for being here. Jar Jar said there's Tank Bigsby, Antonio Gibson, and Chase Brown on the waiver. Most valuable for me is going to be Chase Brown, Jar Jar. Potentially a different running back that might be on waivers. No, go get Chase Brown. I talk about Chase Brown as a must start this week. Go pick up Chase Brown. PR says, sorry, my message looking all middle of a hurricane right now. You know what? Shout out to all you guys tuning in. You guys are about to get hit by a huge storm, and you're saying I am tuning in to Caleb. So I appreciate all y'all. Stay safe. Sending prayers for you guys. Jaime said, think I should trade away Hall for something better, or Hall hold him. I just traded for him 2 weeks ago. I think it depends what you can get for him, Jaime. I mean, it's always the give take. I think right now his value is pretty low. So I guess it is probably a pretty good buy opportunity, but it's, if you have someone that values him super highly, then for sure, then look to sell high. But at this current moment, I'm going to tell you just to hold on to him. Element says, sorry for being a creep changer, but I like that you have an Arc Thousands play. Goodness. Element's over here tuning into other people's musical tastes. I love it. Steel Horse said, TJ Hawkins is coming back soon. Can't wait to get some tight end points compared to the hit or miss points. Yeah. And I think it's going to be hard for us to really consider what we know TJ Hawkins is going to be going forward, because he is coming off a torn ACL, an MCL, all the L's. And not that it's going to be bad per se, but I think it's also, we can't just expect him to go back to being like the TJ Hawkinson tight end 1 points per game numbers that he's going to be having. But we just got to have a little bit better. Josh said, that's from my college days. LOL. You guys are funny. Famous Football Girl, so I got y'all on my Bluetooth in my car. Music is nice on car speakers. Not talking to Timbo. He's my opponent this week. Shout out to Timbo, the husband-wife duo coming out. I'm sure he'll pop in, ask his start sit questions. So thanks for letting me know, Famous Football Girl. I just want you to know that I will tell him all the wrong start sit questions to help you out. Element says, I'm learning that stuff right now. Maybe I'll see if that stuff helps. Yeah. LOL. Jay Will, appreciate you being here. You said 3-2 record, 12 team, 0.5 PPR, any traits. See, this is all, Jay Will, you always ask me this hard question, dude. I don't know how, like, I can give you ideas. I can't give you exact players because I can't see other people in your team. Or in your league. For me, when I'm looking at your team, really, we've been going over this last few weeks. Really, Scary Terry and T helping out your wide receiver room has been huge. So can we potentially flip Devontae? Can we tier up off of Devontae? Maybe like a Devontae Rico Dottle, or even like a Devontae Braylon Allen to get you a better wide receiver. That's kind of what I'm looking to do, Jay Will. Anthony said, all right, guys, let's do this. He's back. He's ready. Trick said, since I got Javonte stock already and a Cowboys fan, it's time to push Tolbert stock. He's my wide receiver now until Nico is back. Tricks, you're running risky, but Tolbert, the breakout's here. The year 2 breakout is here. He didn't do anything last year, but we're seeing some flashes for sure. Bundles 2.0 this week. Should I flex Zach Moss, Trey McBride, or Wan'Dale Robinson? I'm starting Chase Brown at RB2. I'm 5-0. Let's go. Bundles, flex on us. Shout out. If you guys are 5-0, shout out to you guys. That's huge. That is huge. But in regards to my flex rankings, I'm trying to think where I have, I believe Robinson is going to be ahead of Zach Moss for me this week. So let me just double check. Yeah. So I do have Wan'Dale ahead of Zach Moss. Now the question is, it's really between Wan'Dale Robinson and Trey McBride. I think Wan'Dale Robinson has more upside. But I think Trey McBride, the opportunity for him to catch a touchdown is pretty high. I know last week he had 11 face points in PPR. So just kind of depends, Bundle. Both of them are so close, but I would go with Wan'Dale Robinson. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time tuning in the channel, hit that like button. It helps me out so much. Answering every start-sit question this season. Trick said, just sent the Saquon owner an offer of Josh Jacobs and DK. Team would be insanely stacked if he accepts Saquon, Jay Cook, Lamb, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Tricks, wishing you the absolute best. Jarger said, trade Drake London and Christian Kirk for James Conner. Ooh, honestly, sorry guys, I'm drinking some water. And that bottle just popped. So sorry, fantasy football girl, if you're in your car. Yeah, I think I'm still leaning the Drake London side here, just because I know Christian Kirk isn't anything amazing, but Drake London is still valued to me rest of season more than James Conner. So I personally lean the Drake London and Christian Kirk side just because it's a plus. Now, if you get James Conner plus something back, I think that could be a discussion, but I think you can get a better player for Drake London than James Conner there, Jar Jar. Eddie said, you also got Bowers and McBride. Who should I start? You're going to be this week? I believe you're starting Bowers, but just wanted to check. Oh, it's close. I think you should end up trading one of them, Eddie, honestly, because having hard start-sit tight end positions week in and week out is just annoying. Personally, I would go with Brock Bowers this week, but Trey McBride versus Green Bay is also a great matchup. I mean, I have them back-to-back. So I would look to potentially trade one if you can. Now, what could you trade one for is probably your next question, and I'll kind of just give you an example of what that would look like. Personally, for me, I would want to trade Trey McBride. So if you could trade Trey McBride for a Jaden Reed, a Joe Mixon, a Jordan Mason, a DK Metcalf, Tyreek Hill, those would kind of be the deals, Eddie, that I'd be looking to do. It's Carmen says, do you think Chase Brown takes over as the RB1 role going forward for the Bengals? Seems like Zach Moss is going to miss time based on the other high ankle sprains. Yeah, so for me, I do have Chase Brown as a must start this week. I think if you look at his overall snap shares, the last 2 weeks put up very impressive fantasy football numbers, and he only had a 40 and a 30% snap share the last 2 weeks. So going higher, I'm pumped. What am I trying to say? I'm pumped to see if he gets anything more than a 40% snap share, what he's going to be able to do. So I do think Chase Brown will be able to take over that RB1 role. Victor said, it's shake my head, so much hype, not so much hype, but shake my head. Oh, goodness. Victor, thank you for, I realized what I did. I'm 27. I look younger than that, but some of these like texting phrases, I'm just not good. I'm just not a good person like that. So thank you for clarifying that, Victor. I will not mess that up again. Anthony says, shout out to Caleb for mentioning 2 of my players on the panic video earlier today. Oh, Caleb, my guy. You forgot to mention me in the video because I'm panicking too. Anthony, appreciate you, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. Jar Jar said, also, Element, I made that playlist in my writing class. Goodness, a writing class? Making a music playlist? We love to see it. Element said, all right, thanks for the help, Professor Jar Jar. You guys are so funny. Jonathan, what's up, brother? You said, would you trade Swift, London, and Hawkinson to get Justin Jefferson, Eckler, Pacheco, and Bigsby? Swift, London, and Hawkinson? I would. That's enough. I think as long as you can wait on Pacheco, I think you're getting upside with Bigsby. Eckler in this RB2 role with Brian Robinson, we definitely love. But yeah, I would trade that to get that Justin Jefferson side for sure. White Ninja said Olave for Cup, !4-1, and I can wait for Cup. Let me pull up. I do like some Chris Olave, and there is a little bit of bias there with the jerseys behind me. You can kind of see I'm an Ohio State fan. But I just think I know Chris Olave has gone down with the Derek Carr injury, but I personally think I want to hold out on Chris Olave here, White Ninja. I would hold out on Chris Olave. I'd hold him. Dab says, should I trade Hall and Devontae Smith for Saquon? I'm 5-0. Shout out to Dab. Shout out to all you guys for being whoever is 5-0. Huge dubs to you. Should you trade Hall and Devontae Smith for Saquon? Honestly, Dab, depends on your team, but since you are 5-0, I'm personally probably holding your side. Not that Breece Hall goes probably to like an RB7, RB8 rest of season just based on the last 2 weeks. But you do have Devontae Smith, who is still a top 14 wide receiver for me rest of season. Now, Saquon, of course, RB1, RB2, depending on how you want to debate it rest of season. So I understand wanting to get a stud like Saquon Barkley on your team. I guess it kind of depends on the rest of your starting lineup there, but I personally want the package. Element said, you said you're high on Brooks. I'm thinking I'm going to trade Dell and CMC for Brooks and Jamar Chase. He probably won't accept. Well, I would do that trade. I would do that trade in a heartbeat there, Element. So yeah, I am pretty high on Brooks. Anthony says, between Ricky and Thielen, who would you drop? So I can throw my wide receiver one, Nico, and the rest of the IR. Yeah, I'm probably dropping Ricky at this point just because Ricky's going to be behind Jawan Jennings. He's behind Debo. He's behind Brandon Ayuk. I know he's a highly drafted wide receiver, but I think that him getting shot is kind of pushing him and his overall value down, and the timeline of everything. I do think Adam Thielen in this offense with Andy Dalton will have some value for you. So personally for me, I would drop Ricky Pearsall. Victor said, I was 1-4. I traded Kupp and Devontae Smith for Drake London, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Mason as CMC owner. Took it, did it. I get screwed. Also, I won because Drake. Boom. Look at you. Look at you, Victor. We'll get you bouncing back. KJ says, is it cute of a play to play Ray McLeod over Mike Evans this week? Full PPR. Lattimore scares me with Evans. Yeah. KJ, I'll be honest, it does feel a little bit cute. I do have Ray. He did get bumped up by weekly rankings, but I still have Mike Evans, head and shoulders above. I know the Lattimore matchup, of course, we love it for Chris Godwin because we assume he's going to get all the targets, but I personally, for me, I'm still going to go with Mike Evans over that. Thank you so much, KJ, for tuning in. Shrek likes onions. Shout out to you. You said, I need help with who to start this week. Tucker Kraft, Laporta at tight end, Brian Robinson, or Rashad White at running back. Cool, bro. Thanks for tuning in. Personally, for me, I will be going with Sam Laporta over Tucker Kraft. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm dropping either of them because I think you got 2 top 6 tight ends rest of season, and Tucker Kraft's been looking good, but I do want to go with Sam Laporta versus Dallas Cowboys for me. And then when we look at the overall running backs, I will be going with Brian Robinson over Rashad White for sure. Rashad White at this point, it's pretty much just like touchdown or bust. But I would go with Brian Robinson and Sam Laporta as my starters this week. Shrek, appreciate you tuning in. MH said, just double checking. Considering Jalen Hurts is my backup, you feel better about trading Jaden Daniels and DK Metcalf for AJ Brown? Yeah, I would do that deal. As much as you're losing the deal with your team, MH, you're going to be winning the deal by adding AJ Brown to your team. So that's what I'm trying to do. But honestly, dude, if you could do the deal, if he would do the deal for Jalen Hurts and DK Metcalf for AJ Brown, I understand why you're doing it and you want to keep AJ Brown so you have the stack. You look at it 2 ways. You could look at it either way. But I like either of those deals for you, MH. Dab said, trade Deontay Johnson, Sharp, and Sermon for DK. Ooh, let me take a quick drink. Personally, for me, I want DK. And so as long as you don't need Trey Sermon starting this week, then I would go with the DK side, Dab. MH, the other, and whoa, our background music went off. Shout out to Element for producing the background music. You said the other was Daniels and Devontae Smith for AJ Brown, but then I would have Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I think if you get it where you're in that spot and you have the ultimate level stack, that's fine. MH, whichever one's gonna get the deal done to get AJ Brown, that's what I want. PJ Nasty, what up, Caleb? Start Laporta or Kraft? Man, all y'all are having the same question. PJ Nasty, I would be going with Sam Laporta. Trix said, I need to drop 2 defenses, actually. I forget who, goodness. And yeah, Chubb's coming off of IR soon, for sure. Trix, I'm going back up to your question, so give it a second. Goodness, I forget what. Oh, so yeah, you need to drop 2. So I would keep the Chargers and the Chiefs, and I would drop the other 2. Appreciate you. Like I said, guys, I've fallen behind on questions, so we're gonna keep this ranking up. Jaime said, think Mason will do better this week against Seattle. I do think he will do better against Seattle. I have him pretty high up in my rankings, Jaime, so I'll be starting him. I know he burned you last week, but I'm back in this week. Dan said, I traded Evans, Connor, BTJ, and Ingram, who I got off waivers. My tight end is Bowers for Gibbs and Collins. My team now is Hurts, Gibbs, Bijan, AJ Brown, Chase, Collins, Bowers when healthy. Boom. Dan, what a team. What a team. Even though you're dealing with Collins being injured, bro, you're in a really good spot going forward, Dan. So wishing you all the best. Hope your team absolutely crushes it. Jesus, you said have Laporta, Kraft, and Hawkinson, have Kareem Hunt, Rico Dowdle, Rashad White, and Nico Chubb as my running back. Should I try to trade for a better running back? Who do you think Laporta can be traded for? Yeah. Great questions. I think, honestly, you're probably just going to have to write out your running back room. Kareem Hunt should provide you some pretty great value the next 4 to 5 weeks. Now, going beyond that, that's a little bit risky. So you're like, okay, can we trade away a Sam Laporta? It depends on what you're going to be able to get. Of course, for Sam Laporta, could you trade him for a J.K. Dobbins? Or could you attach Rico Dowdle and Sam Laporta to get up to a Brian Robinson Jr. or James Conner? Those are deals, Jesus, that I'd be looking to do if I were you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Jay Will, you said full PPR, trade Dell for Debo. Any moves? Trade Dell for Debo. Yeah, give me Debo. Any moves? Oh no, I want the Debo side. Trade Dell for Debo. Yeah, I think your team's looking good, Jay Will. So yeah, I would hold Debo there. Not Asian 2-foot. What's going on? What's going on, dude? Thanks so much for tuning in. You said 10-team full PPR trade Dell. Oh, I see. Thanks, Jay Will. Anthony said, rest of the year, full PPR. Would you drop Wicks with the news of Christian Watson back at practice for Jordan Addison? Anthony, personally, for me, I do want Jordan Addison rest of the year over Dontavian Wicks. I know Dontavian Wicks looked good in his game that he played 2 weeks ago, and then last week was a little bit of a downer, but I personally want Jordan Addison rest of the season. Sober Money said, hello, I'm in a dynasty rebuild PPR. Was sent this offer: Mooney, Reed, Lloyd, 2026 first, 2077 second for Gibbs, Evans, Diggs. You would get the Mooney side. So honestly, I think you could argue the first plus Reed equals Gibbs for sure, and probably Diggs. So then you're talking about a second and Lloyd and Mooney for Evans. And if you're rebuilding, yeah, I'm cool with it. You're definitely helping someone win a championship. But with the pick being a 2026 first, it makes me feel a little bit better. So I probably would do the Sober Money. Appreciate you tuning in. Jar Jar said, ain't no hurricane gonna stop me yet. Preach. We're here. Janish, appreciate you being here. You said, would you do Devon for Mason and Pickens? Yeah, give me Mason and Pickens. My other starting running back is Brees. I'm 4-1. Yeah, I think Devon, there's the value that you're going to be worried about Mason with CMC coming back, but I think getting Pickens kind of deters that. No, Pickens has really stunk the last 2 weeks, but I would do this deal. Elma said, "Hey, thanks, fans for football. That might sound good." Yeah, and I've stopped playing them. We're gonna keep playing them here in the background. Victor said, "Are my questions here?" Let me double check something, guys. I feel like the questions in the chat are not going with the order that they came in. So let me just double check this. And shout out to Jason for the super chat. Let me get to this and then I'll double check where we're at here. Jason, shout out to you for always commenting on the channel, for being here. Thank you so much for the 10. You said 14-team PPR, Gino, Amon-Ra, Dell, JK, Madison, Conklin, Leggett, bench, Waddle, Whittington, Juju, Mostert, Wright, Cup on IR. I need to drop one for a kicker. Also, would you drop anyone else for dubs? Okay, great questions. So you need to drop one of these players for a kicker. Personally, for me here with your squad, I will drop Jordan Whittington because I do want the upside of a Juju, and I do want the two running backs with Mostert and Wright going forward. Now, in regards to would you drop anyone for dubs? Personally, I would not. You got to hold your running backs with like Matson, and especially with him being your RB2, that's why I want to keep the Mostert. That's why I want to keep the Jalen Wright. So I do think Jordan Whittington is sadly the one to go. I do think Jordan Whittington has upside. I just personally feel like we're going to have to wait to see, especially with Cooper Kupp coming back this week or next week, Puka Nacua coming back over the next 2 weeks. That's something that we're definitely going to have to debate. So personally for me, Jason, like I said, we will be dropping Jordan Whittington, and then I would just kind of leave dubs out there on the waiver wire. So appreciate you so much. Thanks for the 10, dude. You always absolutely support the channel. So let me get back to the chat. Yeah, I think my chat. You said you also have Devon. Thanks for adding that in. Yeah, assuming that you have that, I want you to have all three of those options. So yeah, I would just drop some Jordan Whittington there for you, my guy. Thanks so much. Let's keep it going. Let's get back up to the chat where we were at. Where was I at? Sorry guys, we're getting back. You guys send too many questions. Yeah, we were Jesus, Sober Money, ain't no gonna hurt. Yep. Yep, would do that. And we got the beats playing in the back. Victor said, I want Devontae Adams, my benches, J.K., Travis, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Brooks. Can I package and get Kid Hold, got Reed, Ayuk, Terry London? Personally for me, I would probably just try to do Deontay Johnson straight up, and or like a Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Brooks, to go get Devontae Adams, because I do think that could be valuable for you there, Victor. Nick said start Mooney or Flowers. Nick, I will be going with Zay Flowers this week for sure, my guy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you tuning in the channel, guys. Like I said, if this is your first time on the channel, we are answering every start sit question this season. So want you to be here. We post videos each and every day. I answer all my comments. So want you guys here in the community. Shout out to Brian Soto. You said, ya boys, T. Higgins or Deebo Samuel this week. And this is a rough one. This is a rough decision that you have to make, because T. Higgins just absolutely balled the heck out. And Deebo Samuel kind of had a down to game. He's going up against Seattle. But personally, for me, I do like this Bengals matchup versus the Giants. So I will be going, Brian, with T. Higgins. Anthony said, are we dropping Najee Harris in full PPR? He's at my flex since I have both the Lions running backs and also have Rico and Swift on my bench. I don't think Najee Harris is droppable yet. I would definitely hold him another week, Anthony. But unless there's something amazing out there on waiver wire where, we're talking like a Jaden Reed type level player gets dropped and you're like, I need to drop Najee for that, then I would understand. But otherwise, I will just be holding on to Najee Harris there. Not Asian Tufu said, start 2, ETN, Alec Pierce, Rico, Keon, Keenan. Oh, my goodness. A lot of question marks here all across the board, not Asian Tufu. So personally for me, I will be going with ETN and I will be going with Rico. I do have Keon as a sneaky sleeper this week, but give me ETN and Keon. I understand ETN did not look good last week. Johnny said, how you doing, Kayla? Hey, doing good, bro. Doing good. Hanging out with all of y'all. He said, start Kyler Murray or Kirk Cousins this week. I will be going with Kyler Murray, even though Kyler Murray has been, I don't want to say like a huge letdown this season, but he did really bounce back last week. So, no, definitely pumped to roll out some Kyler Murray this week. And then we're going to get to X Factor, but let me take a quick drink of water. Should I pick up Calvin Ridley? So I think for me, honestly, I think you should, depending on what's out there for your X Factor. So let me elaborate on what your team is, what your bench looks like. But I definitely think he does have some value going forward with Calvin Ridley for sure. Johnny38 said, start Mike Evans with pesky Marshawn Lattimore covering him, or Devontae Smith versus Browns. Nervous starting Evans. Yeah, I think I'm personally going to be starting. Let me pull up my rankings, because I was pretty confident in who I had higher, and then we say it, and that Marshawn Lattimore, what he does to Mike Evans all the time, but it's not, honestly, like the Cleveland Browns defense has been pretty good as well. I personally go with Mike Evans, but I have them 3 spots apart, Johnny. So if you're nervous about it and you want to lean in to just going with Devontae Smith, I totally hear you. Nick says, Johnny38, I would start Kirko, but you didn't ask me. Nick, appreciate you. Appreciate you for tuning in. Let's go to the next question. We have KZ. Appreciate you being here. Will Braylon Allen only be valuable if Breece gets injured? No, I don't think so. I think we saw in previous weeks that Braylon Allen can have a pretty decent floor and a decent ceiling even alongside Breece. I just think this offense has really struggled, KZ, the last 2 weeks. So I'm definitely continue holding on to Braylon Allen. I think Braylon Allen, you can make the argument. I know he's not getting the snap share, but he looks a lot better than Breece Hall going forward. So for me, I'm still holding on to Braylon Allen because he has looked good. Ellen's saying Kirko throwing over 500 yards. It's crazy. It's crazy. Shaiwan says drop Tucker to pick up Quorum or Wright. Yeah, I would drop it. I would do it for Wright. Shaiwan for sure. Jarger says, okay, then start 2, Chase Browns, Gibbs, Jacobs. I'm still starting Gibbs and Jacobs. I do know Chase Brown is elite. I know he's probably going to be the main starter this week, Jar Jar, but personally for me, I will be going with Gibbs and Jacobs. I just do have them ranked so much higher than Chase Brown. We got Tricks back, and he says, starting at 3 and 2, QB Love, Mahomes, Jacobs, Cook, Brooks, Bigsby. Let's put on some music too. Braylon Allen. Wide receivers are Lamb, A.J. Brown. Oh, goodness. This is a league winner. Oh, for sure, Tricks. This is a huge league winning roster. especially with the fact that you're able to kind of, I know Patrick Mahomes has been not the most ideal fantasy football quarterback for you, but I do like this team a lot. So love it for you. Raul said, I currently have Xavier Worthy, but Juju is currently on the waiver wire. Should I hold Worthy or drop for Juju? This was a hard one, Raul, because we're talking about, I think Juju had a great game. Of course, underneath looked good, kind of in that Rashee Rice role. I'm still personally holding Xavier Worthy higher, especially knowing that he is the clear one. Now, he had 10 fantasy points, 14 fantasy points the week before that. So it hasn't been the high-end upside of what we just saw from Juju, but personally for me, I do want Xavier Worthy over Juju rest of the season. MA said, what do you think about trading Jalen Hurts and Sam Laporta for Devon? You have Jaden Daniels and Tucker Kraft. I feel like that's a lot to give up for Devon, especially with not knowing when Tua Tagovailoa is going to come back. Because if we didn't know Tua was coming back in a week or 2 weeks, then I'm, of course, going to be telling you to do this, MH. But currently at this moment, since we don't know, it's hard because I understand you have 2 elite level quarterbacks. I just don't want you selling cheap just to get a better position. But if that's the best deal that you can get, then I would do that for Devon. Element says, by the way, fallacies are a thing used in logic. Okay, I got you. AJ, appreciate you tuning in. Don't know. Here, we got to zoom in on this picture, make it bigger. Where are we at? Oh, it's just a bike. Gotcha. You have Ferg and McBride. Who should I start, and would you start the other tight end over Wicks? I would start McBride for sure, and I would start Jake Ferguson over Wicks and your flex. AJ, appreciate you tuning in. Unruly said, need 2 running backs. Najee, Chase, Sermon, Bigsby, Allen, PPR. I will be going with Najee, and I will be going with Chase Brown. In speech and arguments, I got you. Rowan, appreciate you tuning in. You said right now the bench is looking pretty weak. We have, and like all waiver wires, Tank, Tolbert, etc. Should I wait till they pop off and do better? Also trying to get KW3. I have Connor, Mason, Evans, Amon-Ra, Gibbs. Yeah, so first off, I would like to say that your team, but the fact that you got Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Evans, Mason, Connor, like we like that starting lineup. So we do like that for you, Rowan. The part that I do want to talk about is the waiver wire. I think Tolbert definitely should be added depending on what you potentially have at the end of your bench. So if you want to send me the end of your bench, then I'd be more than happy to take a look and kind of give you an example of what that could be. But I wouldn't be hating on your team. I think you got a really good squad there, Rowan. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Like I said, we're here continuing to answer all of your start state questions. So let me get back to the chat. I accidentally slipped way too far, but I do like this team. I do think Tolbert would be the one that I would be looking to add with your squad. Steele said, do you think Mahomes will produce better points for the end of the season? I think hopefully they add another wide receiver weapon, whether it's through a trade like an Amari Cooper or DeAndre Hopkins, something like that. But assuming they don't, I hope so. It's been kind of abysmal. He hasn't really had to throw to win a lot. They've been running the ball a ton, having a ton of success that way. That's why we saw a big game from Kareem Hunt. So I do think hopefully it starts to turn around, but he's definitely gotten pushed down rest of the season. And yes, AJ, I would McBride and Ferg. James said, trade Hall for Mason/Swift. I'm 1-4 and Bowers or Ferguson this week. I'll start Bowers. James, I think I'm gonna hold Hall here. It's the question of how long you're gonna have that Mason. That's the thing. DeAndre Swift looks good, so I understand if you want to do it, if you need depth at the running back position, but personally, I still want to hold Hall there, James. Trick said, is Wicks even playable this week? I mean, he's playable depending on who your start sit decisions are, but I'm not rolling him out in any of my lineups personally. Jeff said, thanks for the Pittman news. I'm in the hospital. Oh goodness, Jeff, prayers up to you, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in on while you're at the hospital, bro. Hope you feel better. Like I said, we're all praying for you. Should I pick up Sutton, Downs, or Leggett to replace Pittman? Ooh, I personally will do Downs. I know Leggett, we liked what we saw a little bit earlier this season. Sutton too, but I would go with Downs to replace Pittman, Jeff. But sending prayers for you, bro. Hope you feel better. Bundles says, so is Kittle or McBride a better start? McBride. And should I trade on? I got Kittle and a St. Brown trade. I have TJ Hawkinson and yeah, I would try to trade Kittle. I think that's the one that I would like to trade away. Now, it is a very good matchup for George Kittle for Seattle. So I have him as my tight end 3. I've seen people have him as their tight end 1 this week. So I do think it's a hard decision for you, Bundles. I don't think you really can go. You can't go wrong because we don't know who's going to produce the most out of them. But I have all three of McBride, Bowers, and Kittle pretty highly ranked this week. So for me, I would, if you can trade him, then I would. Just depends on what you're going to be able to get. Dab said, so I have Hurts, Mixon, Gibbs, Reed, Deontay, Debo, Bowers, Hall, Devontae Smith. If that's my team, would you trade Hall and Devontae Smith for Saquon? Personally, I would not. I think your team's in a good spot, Dab. I really do. I understand we're adding Saquon with Mixon and Gibbs. Feels good. I just think I like the depth of your team without it, and I think your team's been doing well enough that we don't need to do anything crazy. And if Breece Hall bounces back here this next week, we're not gonna like this trade at all. Janesh says, would you do Devon for Mason and Pickens? My other running back is Breece, so I'm just worried about CMC taking the workload. I 100%. Earlier and Janesh, you might have been in a commercial or something, but I said I would personally I wouldn't do it, but now as we're coming back to it, I want the Devon side. I've talked myself into the Devon side. So I would hold Devon. Jay, appreciate you tuning in. You said drop Pittman for Tolbert. Honestly, done with Pittman. Busted the draft. Injury is the cherry on top. Jay, you get to make the decisions on your team. And so I'll say this. I'm probably still holding Pittman, especially if you have an IR spot. But if you're super shallow, I understand dropping Pittman, especially with Anthony Richardson coming back. And it's really Joe Flacco's the only one that's done anything to keep Michael Pittman Jr. afloat. Brisky said, am I wrong for thinking of starting Kyler over Jaden this week? Yeah. Yep, you are. I have Jaden Daniels as my QB2. I have Kyler Murray as my QB6. So I have about 4 spots difference. Now, Jaden Daniels versus Baltimore, it's a hard matchup, but I mean, Jaden Daniels has that rushing level upside. So give me the Jaden Daniels 100%. We are going to be going with the next question, which is Lon. So I don't have any questions, but just wanted to say howdy. Appreciate you, Lon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Gabriel, appreciate you tuning in. You said, hey, how are you? Should I trade Devontae Adams and Chubb for Tyreek? I'm 3-2. Gabriel, you probably could. You don't have to necessarily include Chubb, but assuming you don't need Chubb as a running back, I would be open to doing this deal for sure. I do have Tyreek ahead of Devontae Adams rest of the season. Hemi said, rest of the season, who you're rolling with, Kyler or Hurts? I'm rolling with Hurts. You're currently 1-4 and just got Hurts along with Terry, so now I can move Kyler. Yeah, I would be the one to try to move Kyler in a deal there, Jaime. AJ, you have Ferguson McBride. Who should I start? Yeah, so I'm starting McBride for sure. And then I guess I didn't answer that Bucky or Rashad question. I'm going with Bucky Irving this week, AJ. Jaime said, my other league, that's 8-team home. I'm 4-1 with James Cook, Karen Thiem. Shout out to you. You're in an 8-man and a 60-man, Jaime? Crazy. Victor says, also, someone wanted my scary Terry for Waddle. What do you think? I think, yeah, you're not doing that. I'm holding scary Terry over Waddle rest of the season, for sure. For sure. Then we got Trix says, Pitts or Goddard this week? Leaning towards Pitts with A.J. Brown and Smith coming back. I think Goddard will get less targets. Yeah, I'm personally going... Let me see. I'm personally going with... I think Goddard will get less targets. Let me pull up my rankings. I'm personally going with Kyle Pitts over Dallas Goedert. We'll roll and hope that he gets a touchdown bouncing back. Lon says, Trey Sermon and Cook running back showed up on injury report today. Yeah, I did see that. I did see that they both showed up on the injury report. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with both of them. Janesh says, would you do Devon? Yes, I would do Devon, Janesh. Lon says, Seattle D is a mess from Seattle fan. Lon's letting us know. VR says, start Dowdle, Josh Downs, or Michael Wilson this week. VR, I will be starting Rico Dowdle this week for sure. Anthony says, with Breece letting me down these last few weeks, I've been thinking about either benching him, which sounds crazy, I know, but I can't risk taking another L. This week, Anthony, just so you know, I still have Breece as a top 8 running back. So unless you have Derrick Henry, Saquon, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, unless you have 2 of those guys, I'm still rolling out Breece Hall rest of the season. So just wanted to let you know that. Still rolling out some Breece Hall. We have Applecots that just traded Daddle and Keon Coleman for Brooks and Wicks. That's a major dub, Applecot. Thanks so much for tuning in. I haven't seen you around the channel, so I don't know if this is your first time, but appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, no, you're not an idiot. I like that trade. Jay Wilson, full PPR start to Etienne, Daddle, Wandell, Wicks. I will be starting... Jay Will, the ETN questions, man. Where do I have him this week? I'm starting Wandell. And then it's between ETN and Rico for me. And I'm going with ETN. I don't feel confident about it, Jay Will. If there's a gun to my head, I don't feel confident, but that's what I would do. Jason, appreciate you being here. You said Cade Otton or Njoku this week, and is it too late to sell Jerome Ford? The Browns suck. Yeah, the Browns do suck. I personally think it's probably going to be a little bit too late, especially with the Nick Chubb coming back. But in regards to Njoku versus Cade Otton this week, I will personally be going with Cade Otton. I know Njoku was still battling that injury. Let's see. He officially didn't practice on Wednesday, so something just to keep in mind since he did suffer that knee injury. But I would be going with Cade Otton at this point, and yeah, we're kind of stuck with Jerome Ford. Dragon Hearts said Spencer Rattler going for 5 touchdowns. Preach. Dragon Hearts, we're talking about Chris Olave in our video tomorrow. So not that we're saying that he's going to essentially do that, but I am super pumped to see what Spencer Rattler is going to be able to do. Lau said, got offered Montgomery and Tank for Godwin and Daddle, 0.5 PPR. My other running backs are Henry, Eckler, Daddle, but my wide receivers are Chase, Tyreek, Godwin, Deontay, Wicks, dual flex. Let me just do something really to just... Cool. Yeah, so you got offered Montgomery and Tank for Godwin and Daddle. Yeah, so for me personally, I will be taking... Yeah, since you already have... I'm still holding the Godwin side. I want the best player available, so I will keep it with Godwin for sure. We got AJ says, you have Ferg and McBride. Who should I start and who would you start over the other tight end? Yeah, AJ. I've already answered this, so let me know. And Jason said, you have H-Chang. Cool. Do I drop Wicks for Schuster? Oscar, I would, for sure. Philly, you said Philly or Houston defense this week? We will be going with the Philadelphia Eagles defense, Steele. Hope that works out for you. Jaime says, what would you trade for Harris? My other running backs are Hall, Cook, Harris, and B-Rob in an 8-team home league. Unless you think Harris or B-Rob will be a good play if Cook is ruled out. What could I trade for Harris? Let me pull up my rest of season rankings to kind of give you some ideas here, Jaime. Zay Flowers, potentially a DJ Moore, Chase Brown, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins. Those would kind of all be some ideas of some players there for you, Jaime. Andrew says, sup, bro. Do I start Bucky with Rashad or Tyrone Tracy or Singletary, depending on who's healthy? Running backs are Kyron, Cook, Kareem Hunt, and Bucky Irving. Thanks, bro. Personally, for me, I would be going with Bucky Irving here, Andrew. I know Tyrone Tracy looked good, but give me Bucky Irving. Applecott says, you just traded Daddle and Keon Coleman for Brooks and Wicks. My current running backs are Cook and Etienne. Just traded Daddle and Keon Coleman for Brooks and Wicks. Yeah, I like this. I think the high upside going later with Brooks. So wishing you luck, Applecott. Love your profile picture. Don't know if you make something with apples, but you're making me hungry for some apple pie. Jason said, you also have a chain. I just got him in a trade. Huge, Jason. Huge, dude. You're absolutely crushing it. Tricks, appreciate you. You said, thanks, bro. Have a good stream. Good luck on your matchups, Tricks. Thanks so much for the super chat. Means the absolute world. Like I said, guys, I just appreciate all the support. Best free way, honestly, to support the channel is to hit that like button. So if you guys haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. Best free way to help me out. Conscious Machine 413, appreciate you tuning in. You said Romeo Dubs, Tolbert, Justice, Spears, full PPR. Personally, for me, I will be going with Tolbert here out of all these options. X Spectre, you said JMO for Zay Flowers. I want the Zay Flowers side. especially after what we saw last week. I think Zay Flowers is just going to start getting going. Trade Kraft for Dell. Trade depends on. I mean, right now I think you have to lean the Tucker Kraft side of Storia, unless you absolutely need. If like Tucker Kraft's your second tight end and you have an elite level tight end, then I'm taking the Dell side. So it just kind of depends on your team. Jay Will said, half PPR, what range of wide receiver could a package of Devontae and Mostert or Devontae and Daddle to target? Yeah, so if you're trading Adams with that, you're probably looking at like a Scary Terry, Stephon Diggs, a DK Metcalf type. I don't think you can get any higher than that, Jay Will. Shaiwan says, stash one, Warren, Corum, or Wright. I will stash Wright. Oh, Mike's muted? Mike muted. Never mind. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Edgar said, lost Rice. Good. You guys had me worried that I was muted there for a quick second. Had me a little worried. You traded Montgomery for AJ Brown, win. Edgar, that's a huge win, bro. Huge win. Exactly what Jason said. Huge win. Huge win for you. Anthony says, Fields or Goff this week. You're leaning more on Fields. I would be going with Fields over Jared Goff this week as well. Right there with you. Jaime said, I just picked up Juju TikTok star. Is he worth a stash long term? I mean, he kind of had that Rashee Rice under the field route role, Jaime, so 100% he's going to be worth the long-term stash for sure. James said, Ayuk, Mooney, or Flowers at flex this week? Let me pull up my wide receiver rankings to let you know. I believe I'm going to be going with Zay Flowers. Give me Zay Flowers this week. Up against Washington, I like the matchup. I like the line, but Brandon Ayuk is very close. I do have all of them as top 24 wide receivers, though, James. So I think you got some good options, but personally for me, I'd be going with Zay Flowers. And he said, guess who dropped Leggett by accident for Tank? I didn't mean to drop Leggett. It was supposed to be Johnson I dropped, but I mean, is Tank that bad of an option? No. I don't think Tank's that bad of an option. I guess you're talking about Tank Bigsby or Tank Dell. I don't think it's a bad option at all. So I'm cool. I'm cool with any of those players for you. So that's huge. And he said, unfortunately, I was 10th on waivers and everyone took all the scraps from the waivers. That's sometimes how it works. Alex said 10-man PPR 4-1, quarterback Purdy, Chase, Evans, Reed, Marvin Harrison Jr., great wide receivers. A little bit to be desired at running back, but you do have Kamara, Ferguson, Andrews. Any moves are hang tight? I think you just hang tight. The advantage that you have at wide receiver with having 4 elite level guys. I don't know if you're starting, if it's one flex. If it is only one flex, then you could potentially look at trading one of those wide receivers plus a running back to get a better level running back. But that would kind of be the only move, Alex, that I would look to do. Peer off. Do you mind answering my last question again? I didn't get to see my answer and my power and internet went down. PRF, of course, dude. Let me find what your question was. You said middle of a hurricane right now. Oh, didn't mean to send the last one. What do you think about this trade? You trade Travis Etienne. Yeah, so I personally wanted the Zach Moss, Scary Terry, and Puka side. PRF. That's what I wanted. And I'll get to the rest of your questions here in a second. But yeah, I did want the package there. You said, here we go. We got so many questions coming in. Also have Chubb. Thanks, Alex. Anthony said, just saw Pittman Jr. is doubtful with a back injury and Downs is taken already. Plus Nico's gone. I'm hurting Caleb. I hear that, Anthony. I hear that. Injuries, bye weeks, everything's starting to take hold. Chris says, quarterback Murray or Fields? I'll go with Murray. A tight end Laporta or Ferguson? I will be going with Laporta. Wide receivers, London, Higgins, Downs, Hall, Jacobs, flex, Javonte, Tolbert. Yeah, I'll flex Javonte. Yeah. Bye week, Addison, yeah. Or I would flex Jordan Addison over Tolbert, but that just kind of depends. If I'm understanding this question right, Chris. But great squad, Chris. Jar Jar said, okay, I realize I'm going to need a crucial win this week for playoff implications, so I'm going to send my lineup and just double check that you think it's the strongest options. Thanks in advance. Of course, bro. Send that over. Edgar said, would you trade Henry for Kenneth Walker plus Waddle? No, I would not. You have Charb on my bench or trade Charb for Waddle. I think you could debate on the Charb for Waddle, especially like the upside that Tua does come back. But personally, I do want Derrick Henry over the Kenneth Walker and Waddle side there, Edgar. PRF. And for some reason, it didn't send in this question. QB, Murray, Gibbs, Moss. Yeah. Cooper, Scaretary. Yeah. Loaded squad, PRF. And you're 1-4. I'm not sure what to do. Also, I've had the most points scored on me every single week, which isn't fun. Yeah, PR. Sometimes this is the part of fantasy football. Like, you have a good squad. And so I think there's the rush of like, oh my gosh, like it's week 6. I need to get it together. But like, we still do have like 6 to 7 more weeks where we can lock it down. So as much as this isn't fun, we just have to make the right start-sit decisions, and you'll be fine, especially with the squad that you have, PRF. Jay Will said, full PPR, spent 30% fab on Wicks last week. Should I drop him for Keon, Odunze, Jacoby, or I would do it for Odunze, Jay Will. Ryan, appreciate you tuning in. You said 3-2 in a 14-man PPR. Jaden Daniels, Saquon Moss, Dowdle, Tyreek, Marv, Cup, and Andrews with good upside bench players. Sit tight or make moves. Yeah, so we're 3-2 in a 14 team. With the depth that you have, I'm going to tell you just to hold tight. I think with what we've kind of seen in the space with all the injuries, it's hard for me to say, yeah, let's go tier up, especially in a 14-man. The fact that we're 3-2, we feel like we have a pretty intact squad. You have Jaden Daniels, that's an advantage. You got Saquon Barkley, that's an advantage. You got Marvin Cup, and then we're hoping that Tyreek gets Tua back, Ryan. I'm going to hold this team and continue riding it out. Jar said quarterback, yeah, Dak. Okay, cool. Yeah, dude. Yeah, no changes, bro. You got it locked in. That's how I would have it. Thanks for tuning in. Freddie said, if Pittman and Moss is out, start 2, Deontay Johnson, Chase Brown, Josh Downs, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Brown, Freddie, for me. And you also have Olave. PRF, you got a squad. Anthony said, Goff, Fields, Hall, Mason Walker, Shakir Pittman, Laporta, Kincaid, benches. Yeah. I like your squad, Anthony. You're in a good spot. Waivers is cooked and nobody's willing to do a fair trade. That sometimes happens. A lot of people don't like trading in fantasy football. And I know I put out a trade video every week. But yeah, you got to feel pretty good about your squad. Jaime said, after the Hurts trade, I just realized I have Devontae Smith in my lineup. Thoughts on stacking? Think it's good. Yeah, I think having stacks can help. I think when you're trying to overtrade to get a stack or you're overdrafting to get a stack, it kind of can hurt unless you're playing in like a best ball format. But I'm totally fine with you, Jaime, having that stack. Eli732, appreciate you tuning in. You said you got a trade offer for Ayuk, but he wants Puka and McLaurin. Yeah. No, that's not going to do it for me, homie. Especially with the fact that we got Puka coming back like week 8. So we're like 2 weeks away from Puka, and Terry McLaurin honestly is balling out right now. So I want the McLaurin and Puka side. Alan said, stream quarterback Daniel Jones or Jared Goff, 4 points passing touchdown. Alan, I will be going with Jared Goff this week, my guy. We have Mervin. Thank you, dude. Thanks for tuning in. And you said, why did this do this? Start Geno or Allen, full PPR. It is a bad matchup for Josh Allen. But I'm still starting Josh Allen over Geno Smith. And maybe that's a mistake. It might be a mistake in my rankings. But Geno Smith going up against San Francisco, I mean, that's a hard matchup too. So personally for me, I'd be going with Allen. Eli agrees with that, going with Allen. Tricks, of course, bro. Thanks so much for being here. Expector said, I'm starting Braylon out flex. I love it. Roll it out. Freddie said, Pitts or Cole Kmet rest this season. I will be going with Kyle Pitts, Freddie. Apple Cod said, this is my first time in here. Thanks for the great responses. Definitely be back. I'm sub now. Apple Cod, of course. It's crazy. We've been making content now for 2 years. We're on the grind. We're growing to 4,000 subscribers. We've grown a ton this year. So appreciate you being here answering all start sit questions all season long because you guys deserve it. Jaime says, should I trade away Kincaid or am I stuck? Last time I'm drafting a tight end high. I think you just got to write it out, Jaime. I do think eventually it gets better, but it's been very disappointing because we expected the leap to happen and the leap hasn't happened. Alan says, keep on bench, Cole Kmet or Blake Corum. I don't like to usually hold 2 tight ends, Alan, but I'll tell you to hold Cole Kmet there over Blake Corum. Gadaki said, hey, chat, Tracy or Bucky PPR redraft? I'm still leaning. I know you asked the chat. The chat will give you some great responses, but I'm personally leaning with, Bucky rest of season, but let the chat see what they want. Isaac said, hey man, how's your day going? Dude, going good. Thanks for asking. You said, would you trade Brees, London, and Dell for Neighbors and Jacobs? Yes, I would. Give me the Neighbors and Jacobs side. For sure, Isaac. Major dub for you there. Trick said, my wide receiver room is cooked without Nemiko. I mean, I feel like it's sometimes hard. It's hard when you lose a major player like that. But the good news is he's only on IR probably, 3 to 4 weeks. So hopefully he comes back soon. Isaac said, also, what do you think about Olave and Wicks or Dell for K9? It depends on how bad you need a running back. I personally still have Chris Olave higher than Kenneth Walker rest of season. So for me, when I'm just looking at this, I personally want the Olave side. But if you're super desperate for a running back, I understand why you'd want to try to get some K9. Iggy said, would you trade Mixon and Marvin Harrison Jr. for Godwin and Connor? Iggy, personally, I still have Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead of Chris Godwin rest of season, which might be debatable by some people. And then I do have Mixon and Connor so close that I do want the Marvin Harrison Jr. side for me, Iggy, personally. Viz, appreciate you. You said, what's up, bud? Finally caught you on stream. Ayuk week 4. Shout out to that, but you still won by 1 point. He did come through last week, though. Viz, I told you week 4. I told you I wasn't feeling confident about it. But hey, he did come through last week. But thanks for roasting me. I trust me, I don't get them all right. I don't get them even all right on my roster, so it's upsetting sometimes. But beautiful part of the game we play. Iggy said one more Barkley for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Monty. Personally, there, Iggy, I will want the Barkley side. Trick said Pickens, Ridley, Tolbert, Wicks, OBJ, and Dotson. Tricks, I don't know. Oh, your wide receiver room? Yeah, you are pretty cooked. Not gonna lie. But we're gonna make it out. Wraith RL, appreciate you tuning in. Is this a little bit of crap? What's the soccer game? Rocket League? Is this a little bit of Rocket League action here? You said, should I offer Garrett Wilson and Jaden Reed for Breece Hall and Chris Gowan? Personally, there I do want the Jaden Reed and Garrett Wilson side. Depends on what your running back room looks like. If you do really need a Breece Hall, but personally for me, I want the upside of Jaden Reed, and then you also get Garrett Wilson. They said both of my top running backs are on bye. Kyron and A-Chain. By far my worst position. Third running back is Moss, and he's likely to play. Yeah, Braylon Allen, and you just pick up Trey PC, hoping he plays. Sometimes when you do this like 0 RB, it ends up working out. The past few weeks, it's been pretty good. So hopefully this works out for you here today or this week, Viz. Chaka said, would you trade Neighbors, Ingram, Moss for Hill, Mixon, Adams, Kittle? Yeah, give me the package there. Yeah, that is tempting. I feel like you're giving up like Ingram's been what it is, but you getting Hill, if Hill comes back, you're looking at Hill as a top 8, top 7 wide receiver rest of the season. You got Mixon. That in itself probably would equal Neighbors. And then you get like a free Adams, depending on if he gets traded, and then you get Kittle. So I would probably take the package, Shaka, but it is risky. I give you that. Shrek like and should I drop Rashad White for Chase Brown? I also got Kraft and Richardson as other options. Yeah, I would honestly, I'm going to hold on to Rashad White just because we know how desolate the running back position can be. And then I would just be dropping whether it's Kraft or Richardson, which hopefully you can I would probably draft Richardson before I would drop Kraft, depending on your starting quarterback. But I would try to trade one of those players to just get something cheaper or do a 2-for-1 there, Shrek. Shane says, you have Stroud and Devontae Smith. The Hurts owner has Dell. Do I trade Smith for Dell? No, do not do that. I know it's tempting. I understand it's tempting, but I'm still holding on to Devontae Smith, having way higher rest of season. Fizz says, I just picked up Goodson because I seen Trey Sermon didn't practice with a collarbone injury. Just hoping for the best at this point. We'll see. Whoever starts, that's who you're playing. That's who you're playing, dude. Andrew, you said 10-man PPR, 4-1, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, Nico, Waddle, Flowers, Keon, Saquon, Mason, Chase Brown, McBride. Am I good long-term? Do I need to make any moves for wide receiver protection in the short-term sit tight? In regards to your team, Josh Allen would like that. Justin Jefferson, Nico, Waddle, Flowers, we'd love that. Saquon, Mason, Chase Brown. I mean, I think the question is in this 10 minutes, shout out to you for being 4-1, is like, what does this overall like long-term outlook of your running back room look like? And hopefully Chase Brown can kind of solve that. So if you can maybe up tier off of a Mason, like can you package Mason and Waddle to get you a better RB2, that would kind of be the move that I would look to do, Andrew. Grab Ty Chandler too. We love it. We love it. Dust Clan, appreciate you tuning in. You said I'm 2-3 in full PPR. Appreciate you tuning in the channel, bro. Here to answer all your start sit questions all season. You have Joe Mixon and Devontae Adams. Should I hold on to them or be looking to move them? And if so, who should I target? Personally, right now, I think with you being 2-3, like we said, there's a lot up in the air with Devontae Adams. He's out this week. Is he going to get traded to the Jets? Is he going to get traded anywhere? I have a feeling he probably does. And then Joe Mixon has been injured. I think really the injuries are what's holding you to being 2-3, not your overall squad. I'm just seeing that you have Joe Mixon and Devontae Williams, so I'm just going to be holding them. That's not for me to say that you couldn't maybe tier up off of them to get a better player. But personally, for me at this moment, I will just be holding Joe Mixon and Devontae Adams. Dust Clan, appreciate you tuning in. PR said, good night, got to go handle what's going on with the hurricane. Thanks for the help. Of course, PRF. Let me know if I can help. Praying for you, bro. Viz said, rest of my team is good. Cousins, Ayuk, St. Brown, McBride, and Devontae Smith with Denver's defense. If I win this week, it'll be a miracle. Hey, sending prayers up, dude. Sending prayers up. Dynasty is my life. Love it. 12-team Superflex, start 9.5 tied to premium, 5-0. Let's go with 5 first. Goodness, and that's the squad. Send 2 late first for DK in a second. Yeah, dude. I think you do it. I think DK, too late. It's probably slightly an overpay, but then you're getting that second to come back. So I'm cool with DK in a second for 2 late first Dynasty life for sure. Go try to get the chip. Mervin said, choose 2 to flex. Full PPR. Downs, Javonte, or Tracy. Choose 2. I will be going with Javonte, and I'll be going with Tyrone Tracy. Now, if Anthony Richardson's playing, start Javonte and Tracy. But if it's Joe Flacco, then I do want Downs over Tracy. So just kind of depends on who the starting quarterback is for the Indianapolis Colts. Steve said trade JMO and Kraft for Rachaad White. No, I have JMO ahead of Rachaad White rest of the season, so I would be holding that side, Steve. Jesus said start Ravens defense this week or Washington too good. I would personally not want to be starting the Baltimore Ravens defense. I think there's probably some better options. I have them as a middling defense. I mean, they are super talented, but it's not the best matchup. It's like a C matchup for them, so I would not be starting them. X20, who we benching this week in full PPR? You got to sit one of them: DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, or Garrett Wilson. Sheesh. But it's between Garrett Wilson and Josh Jacobs for me. And we'll be going with Garrett Wilson. Easy enough. Garrett Wilson, see ya. Sit on the bench. Hopefully you don't pop off. But hopefully you do, because I'm starting him everywhere. So Trix says, is it time to start King Javonte over ETN this week? Oh, King Javonte. I love how you're the Javonte stan. I'm still starting Travis Etienne over Javonte, but I understand why some people and or you might do it. I said, love the energy, bro. Glad to see you on stream tonight. Great vibes as always. Thanks, dude. Thanks for tuning in. Dusk Clan said, also between JSN and Jacoby Myers, who'd you start this week? Dusk. I would do JSN. Anthony says, would you hold Mason for the rest of points for however long we have him left to trade him now and try to improve at wide receiver? You have Brees and Walker to cover the RB102. Would you hold Mason for the rest of points for however long we have him or trade him now? Yeah, I would just try to trade him now because we do want to bolster our team going forward. And so you might not get exactly with what you want out of Mason. You might have to sell him low compared to, the value that he has on a week-to-week basis. But the moment CMC comes back, steps in and takes any sort of snap share away from Jordan Mason, he loses like all value. Reith says, my running back room is terrible without Pacheco, and somehow I'm 2-3. You have 4 players on bye, with one of them being Devon and 2 injured, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco. Dude, hold it together. You might take an L this week, but we're bouncing back. Feliz said, am I crazy for grabbing all those running backs? You're not crazy. You're not crazy. But what I would say is once we determine which ones we will be starting, I would drop a few of them to pick up other positions. You said, hey, bro, would you explain why you would do Brees, London, and Dell for Neighbors and Jacobs? Just feel like I'm giving too much. Where do you have Brees and London rest of the season? Brees can get back on track for his Buffalo. Yeah, great question, Isaac. Sorry I didn't give you the in-depth response. Like I said, there's a bunch of questions flying around, but just so you know, I appreciate you asking the question, and we'll kind of walk through this step by step. So one-on-one, like Brees Hall definitely has fallen. He used to be like a top 3 running back for me rest of the season. We look at Brees Hall currently in his unique outlook for me right now. He's my RB6. If you look at Drake London, rest of season for me, I have him as my wide receiver 12. If you're looking at Malik Neighbors, rest of season, I have Malik Neighbors as my wide receiver 4 rest of season. And then I have Josh Jacobs sliding in as my overall RB12 rest of the season. So for me, I understand, like, and the Dell really doesn't make a whole lot of difference for me. So I think the part, and I think it's a fair deal either way, Isaac. So if you feel very strongly one way, then I would just hold it the side that you want. I just think the upside of a Neighbors, it's going to get close enough in the value that I feel comfortable with the Neighbors and Jacobs side, because I do feel like Neighbors is a better player rest of season than Breece Hall. But Breece Hall also has had 2 down weeks. If he bounces back over these next few weeks, 100%, you're probably like, oh, I want the Drake London and Breece Hall side. But taking it for what it's worth at this current moment without us knowing with kind of the information that I have, I do want the Neighbors and Jacobs side, but it is a fair deal, dude. So Isaac, whichever side you want, I will be cool with, because I've talked myself into both of these over this long little discussion. So it just kind of depends on how the rest of your team looks. But I would personally, I want the Neighbor side just because I love some Neighbors and I have them pretty high. But if you like the Breece Hall upside running back, I get that too. Desk Clan said, thanks for all the help and advice. Hope your day's been good. Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's been great. Hanging out with all y'all. Feeling like Belichick. Yep. We got Ayuk or Deontay this week. Deontay. I got you, Deontay. I will be going with Brandon Ayuk over Deontay Johnson. But I do have them 2 spots apart, so it is pretty close, Victor. Soul, appreciate you. He said, what's up, Caleb? Should I risk starting Pollard over Cook? Because Cook might not play Monday night, but I have Ray Davis. Should I just start Cook? Yeah, in this case, I personally still want to wait on James Cook over Pollard. And then worst case scenario, you just throw in Ray Davis if he doesn't play. Spudsy, appreciate you tuning in. You said, need a wide receiver. Do I trade Tracy for Wicks? Spudsy, first off, appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for tuning in the channel. I personally will hold Tracy after what we just saw this last week and trading him for Wicks. So I want Tracy. Appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, we're answering all start sit questions all season, so once you hear. Jay Will said, who are some running backs that I could package Javonte and Wicks or Javonte and Daddle to go get? I mean, you probably could get up into like a Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins type range. Those would be some guys. Trick said, is Geno a good start against San Francisco tomorrow? I do not have him as a good start. I have him as my QB 14, which is lower than he's been the last 2 weeks. So personally, no. Victor, I should have done this from the start. I can do 1-for-1. I think owner though wants Jaden Reed, Ayuk for Devontae Adams. Wants Jaden Reed or Ayuk for I want both those guys over Devontae Adams. Yeah, I would just stay away, Victor, for sure. Raith said, rate my starters this week: Jaden Daniels, Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, Amon St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, Jaden Reed. Yeah, love it. I give this an A. I love your team. Good luck this week, Raith. Viz says a question: how likely do you think that both Bijan and Algier can both have top 20 running backs against Carolina this week? Asking for obvious reasons. Let me give you like where Tyler Algier is for me in my running back rankings, and then we can kind of walk that back from there. I don't have Tyler Algier high. I have him as an RB35 this week, so I'm not super confident. I don't think both can be top 20, but we'll have to see if Tyler Algier finds the end zone, potentially. Anthony says it's crazy because I have 2 good tight ends and I've been shorted by them both. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Steve said start Richardson or Daniel Jones this week. We are in the mud, Steve. We are in the mud with your quarterback decisions. I would go with Daniel Jones, but I think that depends too. Like, we don't know for sure if Anthony Richardson's going to play. Soul said Mooney or Deontay. I will be going with Deontay, Soul, for sure. Steve said Ingram or Kraft this week. I'll personally be going with Tucker Kraft this week, Steve. Big Breakfast, appreciate you tuning in. Shout out to the eyes. Look at that. Look at that bird. Love it. 10-team PPR, start 11 Superflex. Would you trade a late 25 first, Wandell and Cousins, to get Devontae Smith and Deshaun? Yes. You have Burrow and Kyle already, and also want to live off Wandell. Since yes, give me that trade. Or I also want to live up. Since yeah. Give me the Devontae Smith side for sure. I think you're going to have a lot more longevity with that side of the package, Of course, Viz. Anthony said, I'm doing Mason Laporte in a package deal. What kind of receivers do you think I could aim for? I think when we're looking with what you're looking like, could you get into a Jaden? You probably could get up to like Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., potentially even Nico. Depends on if you can wait on Nico. Maybe AJ Brown. I doubt you can get into AJ Brown, but might as well try. Appreciate you, Anthony. Jesus said, start Laporta or ride the Kraft momentum. I have Laporta ahead, but I understand if you want to ride the Kraft momentum. Tight end landscape's been weird. Victor said, JK, Travis, Etienne, Deontay Johnson. Should I offer any for Jalen Waddle? No, I'm holding all those guys over Jalen Waddle. Jaime said, should I start Hurts or Love at quarterback this week? I will be starting Jalen Hurts. But I do have Jordan Love 2 spots behind. Trick said, should I start King Javonte or King Rico or Boring Bateman over Geno and Superflex? No, I'm not starting any of those guys over Geno and Superflex. Nope. Roll out some Geno Smith there, Tricks. Anthony says, is it even worth trying to include Pittman in a trade? I feel like with AR, he's no value now with injury. Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think if you can trade him, sure. If you find a guy that's maybe he's an Indianapolis Colts fan and he's like, yeah, let me try to trade for sure, Anthony, do it. But I think you're probably going to struggle. So you're probably just going to get stuck holding. Camden said 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, St. Brown, Higgins, Devontae Smith, and Josh Downs. Do I do the obvious and sit Downs, or is he going to go crazy with no Michael Pittman? So St. Brown's, Higgins, yeah. I think the hard part is I'm sitting Downs. It is obvious because if Anthony Richardson plays, like we saw that he pretty much killed Michael Pittman Jr.'s value. Michael Pittman Jr., the only reason he has any sort of value left is because of Joe Flacco. So I'm personally sitting Josh Downs, but if we get word that it's going to be the Joe Flacco show, I do think we can reconsider this later this week. Camden, I'm streaming on Friday and Saturday as well, guys. So I'll be able to answer your questions as we go. This has seen how many injuries Indy has on the offensive side of the ball. Goodson could save me if Sermon doesn't play. He could. Potentially he could. Soul says, do you expect a big game from Evans? That beef with Lattimore is fire. Yeah, the beef with Lattimore is fire, but Lattimore wins a lot more than we like to expect. I do have Mike Evans as my wide receiver 18 this week, so I don't have him anywhere. I have him as like a middling wide receiver 2. I have Chris Godwin as a wide receiver 1. I think Chris Godwin's going to eat with Lattimore shadowing Evans, so I don't think I'm expecting a big game. I'm expecting an okay game. Soon as I know who's starting, I'm dropping the rest and grabbing Juju right before Sunday's games. Do it. Abid said, start Allen or Stroud. I will be starting Allen this week, even though I do know CJ Stroud versus New England, it's an okay matchup, but CJ Stroud hasn't been as electric for fantasy football as he was last year, and I do want the upside rushing for Josh Allen, even though the weapons have been subpar. Abid, appreciate you. Anthony said, you might even consider Shakir, to be honest. Not a fan of having 2 players on the same team. I understand. That can always be a little bit rough. Wright said, one more question for you. One of my other leagues, you have Vikings defense, but they're but I don't really want to drop them for a different defense because they're good and I'm not sure what to do. Yeah, if you have the spot and you're able to hold, then definitely hold. If you're looking at defenses to potentially add, some good streaming defenses this week would be like the Broncos versus the Chargers, the Colts versus Tennessee, Green Bay Packers versus Arizona, I think could be a sneaky good one. But yeah, those are some options, right? So if you need some options, let me know. But happy to jump in a little bit deeper. Trick said, who's a better player between bacon and sausage? It's got to be bacon for sure. But I do think sausage, when you're talking about it with like an omelet, it's hard to beat. That's why I like both in my omelets. Viz Evans, he's against it. Saul says, nah. Anthony says, Keenan Allen is on waivers. LOL. Depends on who you want to drop. I mean, Keenan Allen has been waiver wire material for sure. Well, guys, I am super tired. I have to wake up super early tomorrow. So this has been an absolutely incredible stream. Appreciate all the support, all the love. Like I said, we're on the grind to 4,000 subscribers. So if you want your friends to be in this community, let them know, especially if they're not in the same fantasy football league as you. We're trying to grow any way that we possibly can. Putting out another video tomorrow. I see some more questions coming in, so I'll get to those in a second. We're putting out another video tomorrow, Friday, and then Saturday. So, and we'll be streaming a little bit later this week. So, Soul says Mason can eat this week. Sir, appreciate you being here. You said, what running back wide receiver could you get packaged by Devontae Smith and Pollard? You probably could get up into like Drake London, Garrett Wilson. Sir, that's kind of who I would be looking at trying to trade for. Anthony said Michael Wilson and Slayton. I would go with Michael Wilson. Janesh said, are you worried about CMC coming back? I don't know if I should hold on to Mason or get rid of him for someone like Devon. Yes. If you can trade Janesh for either of those guys, do it. I understand like there's the chance that something happens to CMC, he doesn't come back, he doesn't look healthy. They roll with Jordan Mason, but no, I would go with Devon, and or Monty for Jordan Mason. You feel like you're selling low, but I wouldn't feel bad. MD, HD, yo, bro, I'm 2-3 wide receivers are Puka, Javonte, running backs. Should I send Puka and Javonte for JT or JMO and Mondre for, should I send, yes. So if I can do that first deal, do it. And then Mondre for Debo. I do personally want the Mondre for Debo side, and then I'm probably just holding the Puka side, and we'll just roll pretty light on running backs, MD. Isaac said 10-team PPR quarterback Stroud, but what do you think I should trade for as an RB2? Honestly, you got a lot of good wide receivers, so I would keep London, Olave, and Reed, and I would probably try to package Devontae Smith and like a Wicks to go get a better running back, another running back option. So someone like a James Conner, even like a Jordan Mason for you, Isaac, would be an interesting one to try to trade for, or like a Brian Robinson. A bit said, thanks, dude. One more question. Who do I start at flex? Brian here. BH? You mean BTJ? Reed, Jacobs, or Dobbins? I personally this week, where do I have Reed in comparison to? I will be going with Jaden Reed. Bid, appreciate you tuning in. No. I'm still here. I'm still here. You guys, I understand some of the questions are coming in late. Yeah, I will get to all the. Since you guys started firing off questions, I'm answering all of them. We're going until I get the last question, but we're getting close. But I will be answering, of course, all the questions in the comments. Viz said, thanks, brother. Thanks for that. Have a great night, bro. Have a great night. Let me see. Jay Will says, Lost Rice. Juju or Dunze from waivers? Juju. Janesh says, I got offered A-Chain for Mason and Pickens. Yeah, Janesh, I'd be going with Devon. Anthony says, another fire stream. Of course. Thanks for tuning in, Anthony. Always appreciate the support. We'll be going live on Friday and Saturday, so hopefully you're not running around doing what you're doing, because I always feel like the stream starts and you're like, no. A bit said, Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah. That's who I assumed it was. I still go with Jaden Reed. Rumple Foreskin said, hey, man, I hope you're well tonight. Who should I start this week at wide receiver? Didn't get any trades pulled up. Who should I start? Tolbert, Wandell, Christian Kirk, or Pickens? Personally, for me this week, I will be going with Wandell Robinson. Bid, of course. Oh, you need two? Thank you. I go with Wandell and Christian Kirk. We did. We had some high views. We got up to 60 today, so that was huge. Viz says, look at my last question. You can't. Oh, Viz, did I miss your question? What do you think of Ty Chandler if Cooks... Ty Johnson? No. Don't worry about Ty Johnson. If Cooks doesn't play, it's going to be Ray Davis. In my personal opinion. Yes, Friday and Saturday lives. We back. Jenna said, also pick two wide receivers, two flex. Devontae Smith, Olave, BTJ, Pickens, Odunze. Yeah, so we'll go with Devontae Smith, Olave, Brian Thomas Jr., and then we'll go with Pickens. But if Trey Sermon does play, I would actually go with Trey Sermon over Pickens, Janesh. Iggy says, I'm trying to get Wandell added with Barkley for Monty. Yeah, do it. I think that'd be huge for your team. Jaime said, thoughts on Theo Johnson being a stash? Well, he's been in some stash videos, so I do like him. He had a decent day on Sunday. Nothing crazy for our guy Theo, but I do think he's 9.8 fantasy points was the highest producing day so far. Was a good matchup. Now, that was with no Malik Neighbors. So going forward, what's that going to look like? Going to have to kind of determine, but I do think you should continue to have him stashed. MDHD, so bro, just to clarify, if you could only do one deal, you're doing JMO. Correct. Actually, I would do the JT deal now that I'm sitting on it, thinking about it for another few minutes, MDH. If I do Debo, I would be thin in RB2, but maybe flip Puka. No, yeah, just do the Puka and Javonte for JT and call it a day. Monster 23, appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, if you guys are new to the channel, we are answering every start-sit question this season. So I absolutely appreciate y'all for tuning in and supporting the channel. We're putting out a video each and every day, so it means the absolute world. You said, yo, start 3, PPR, Dobbins, Dowdle, Chase Brown, Kirk, also Chargers or Bucks defense. I'll be going with the Chargers defense over the Bucks defense. But the Bucks versus Saints with no Derek Carr is interesting. I hear you. It's either going to go one or two ways. Spencer Rattler is going to ball out, or he's going to throw 5 picks. So I understand kind of rolling that, but I do want the Chargers defense. In regards to start 3, I'm just going to go with all the running backs. Dobbins, Dowdle, and Chase Brown. I do have Kirk as a good player. Like I do think he is a must start this week. But when you're looking at like Chase Brown versus Kirk, I do want to go with Chase Brown on my start. So thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, I want you here rest of the season answering all start-sit questions. Andrew said, should I send Nico and Mason for yes? If you can do that, give me the Jacobs and AJ Brown side. Andrew said, sent my team earlier if you want to look. Should I send? Oh, I would scroll back up, but I already know that I want the AJ Brown and Jacobs side. Sean, appreciate you, dude. Thanks so much for tuning in. You said Mason, Kamara, and Gibbs pick 2. Ooh, dude, your team is so freaking good. It's so good. Mason, Kamara, and Gibbs. We're going to be going with Mason, and we're going to be going with Kamara. But the fact that I only get to pick 2, Sean, is a travesty. It's a travesty that you got 3 elite level guys. But I do have Jordan Mason as my RB3 this week. I do have Kamara as my RB4, and I have Gibbs as my RB6. So a little bit further down for Gibbs. Rumpel says, Kirk, I was thinking Tolbert would be a good pick with Brooks on IR and the Lions matchup, probably going to force Dak to throw. Yeah. I'd still go with Kirk, but I do think Tolbert's an interesting one. Viz says, Davis has been getting less snaps in the last 2 weeks. If you look with Ty, snaps have been going up. Could be wrong. I think Ty's been like the third down back. I just think Ray Davis, if James Cook is out, he'll be the early down workhorse back. So that's kind of how I'm looking at there, Viz. But I hear you. Hey, just stash all the running backs and one of them's going to work out, bro. Anthony said, I must have missed it. My bad. Who would you pick between Allen, Slayton? I will be personally going with Allen, Anthony. Marlon said, hey, man, what do you think of this trade? Saquon, Ayuk, Brian Thomas, and Chase Brown for Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, and DK Metcalf. I like the trade. Personally, for me, rest of the season, at this current moment, I have Brandon Ayuk higher than Brian Thomas Jr., but Brian Thomas is making quite the leap up rankings. So I think at this moment, I'm going to say you should include Brandon Ayuk because I want the upside of Brian Thomas going forward. So I would do Saquon, Ayuk, and Chase Brown for Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, and DK Metcalf and call it a day. Jaime said, tight end waivers are very thin. Reason I asked because I need a backup for KK when Bill's going by. I got you. MDHD said, but man, hope I can pull it off. I've been asking like a million trade questions. I've hit 0. I'm going to, bro, thanks as always. Appreciate you tuning in. Jaime said, Rattler, now put in Jake Garner. Sean says, Kamara, Jacobs, or Chase Brown, pick 2. Kamara and Jacobs. Except we talk about how Chase Brown, I mean, I have him in my breakout video this week because I think the numbers he's putting up, and he's had a 30 to 40% snap share, it's going to get even better going forward. So super excited to see what Chase Brown can do this week, but I trust Kamara and Jacobs a little bit more. Wesley said, would you do Josh Allen, Godwin, and Kareem Hunt for Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Jordan Love, and James Conner? Personally, for me, Wesley, I want the I want the Cooper Cup, Drake London, Jordan Love, James Conner side. For me, that's the one I would do. Package on the right. Big Breakfast is winning. Got that deal done for Devontae Smith. Thanks, my man. Of course, dude. Hope that works out for you. Excited to see you around rest of the season. See how that works out for you. I'm not gone. I need to see a possibility. I think Puka and Ramondre is an overpay for JT. If the dude adds on Chase Brown with JT, you're doing it. Yes, 100%. Even if he doesn't, I'm still doing it. Jaime said, thoughts on Drake May now being the starter? Ooh, Jaime, you're asking some good questions, bro. I do really like Drake May. I have him on a ton of dynasty rosters. I do think they are kind of setting him up to fail this year because he has no one to throw to. The offensive line stinks, and the running attack's been so-so. So I'm excited to see Drake May. Hopefully he can show some flashes. I just hope nothing crazy happens. Jaime said, also thoughts on Aiden O'Connell as a stash. In Superflex, yeah. I do think he's a stash. Anthony said, pick one up between Roshan, Ty Chandler, Wright, Goodson. Roshan for me, Anthony. I wish I could trust you. Love you, dude. Love you, dude. You're so funny. Wesley said, moves to making an 8-man 2 and 3. Josh Allen, Breece Hall, Gibbs, Bigsby, Chase Brown, Kareem Hunt. Dude, I know it's 8-man. I know you're 2 and 3. You're probably like, what the heck? But the fact that you got Breece Hall and Gibbs as your running backs, you got A.J. Brown who's been injured. Like, that's the biggest thing. Now, we're just going to have to wait on Nico, but you got Godwin and BTJ to fill in the gaps, bro. Listen, Wesley, just hold on. You'll be fine. Sean said, hey, bro, one more question. Eagles or 49ers D? Thanks for all you do. Yeah. Sean, I don't know how much I get right for you. So that's me like here saying that I feel like I've been very inaccurate on some of these for you, but I'd be going with the Philadelphia Eagles versus that Cleveland Browns offense, personally. Sir said, how confident are you in K-Dot and rest of the season as you're set and forget it tight end? Well, not confident. Not confident, sir. Not confident at all. I have K-Dot as my tight end 18 rest of the season, so not very confident. But I also understand the tight end landscape stinks, and we just need to throw in a tight end every so often that we can that can produce. Janess says, who would be your ideal RB3 if you were to do a Devon trade and have Breece? I could package like Devontae Smith and Bucky or Adunze and Bucky. Right now, my RB3 is Bucky and Braylon Allen. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Janess, I would do the trade. I know you've been asking that question a bunch, but I would do the trade. Go get Devon. Or keep Devon on your team. Marlon said, but is the trade fair? Yes, it is fair. And I want the package you're getting. As I said, you think I should trade Hall, London, and Dell for Neighbors, Cooper, and Jacobs? He sent me that. What changed about this, Isaac? Did something change? I feel like Cooper was not involved. I feel like we have an extra piece. Hall, London, and Dell. Oh, Dell and yeah, I want the Neighbors and Cooper and Jacobs side. Yeah, Isaac, I would do it. I would do it. Where are we at? Let's keep it going. Let me get back to my question. Sorry, guys, I scrolled way too far up. You guys are firing away. Appreciate it. Yeah, Rumble Foreskin said, all right, thanks. I'm going to roll with Kirk and Bennett. Yeah, do it. Bocce said, I just traded Devontae Smith for BTJ. Was that stupid? I mean, I still have Devontae Smith higher, but the way Brian Thomas Jr. is going, we could be looking at him as a top 10 wide receiver by rest of the season. So I think you could be ahead. I think it's a little bit risky, but I understand why you did it. Marlon said, Jacobs or Mixon rest of the season. Also believe in Breece Hall in the future. I do believe in Breece Hall. I just hope this offense can kind of turn around. In regards to Jacobs and Mixon rest of the season, I personally do want Joe Mixon over Josh Jacobs rest of the season. There, Marlon. Anthony says, should I try and get Leggett back from waivers after my mistake? I would, Anthony. I like the upside that he does possess. Rumble Foreskin said, facing my brother this week, so it's a battle for the ego. Yes, go take on your brother. I love when I face my brothers in fantasy football because you just know what's going down. Jaime said, you dropped Moss. He was my RB3 good move. This after 2 weeks of Chase Brown. Yeah, I mean, I would probably have still held on to him, Jaime, but I also know if it's your 8-man league you're talking about, you do need studs, and you probably have limited bench space. Bocce said, should I trade Pitts for Ingram straight up? No, I want Kyle Pitts still. Gage said, dynasty question. Would you take a super late first, second for DJ Moore, Chuba, and Ty Chandler? First and second? I probably, Gage, if you could do it, I would target somebody that is projected to have a middling first. I would much prefer that over a late first, at least in 2025. But I would do this deal. I do think it's fair. If you can't get a better offer. Sean said, you've been pretty accurate on a lot of my start sits. God bless you. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. God bless you too, man. Well, hopefully it works out for you, Sean. Hopefully it works out. He added Cooper. Okay, cool. Yeah. I like that deal. I like that deal for you, Isaac. Jaime says, think Steelers are a good defense to stream this week. Yes, I have them as the #1 defense this week going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think they are a great defense to stream. I feel like a lot of people own them. So I didn't want to put them when like people ask for like streaming options. I didn't want to discuss them because I felt like a lot of people already own them. Bocce said, and you got offered Josh Jacobs for Devon. Should I do that or hold with him? So complete transparency, I do have Devon higher than Josh Jacobs rest of the season. But it's a little bit risky because we don't know if Tua Tagovailoa is coming back. So personally for me, I want the Devon side, but it's just all upside. I think Josh Jacobs probably has a little bit safer of a floor. And then Trick said McBride to the moon. Janice said, also, are you panicking on Olave? No. Especially with Carr being out a couple of weeks. Would you package Olave and D. Smith, BGJ to upgrade wide receiver 2? I have Nico as my wide receiver 1. I think you're dealing with a lot of injuries, and so I don't want to trade 2 guys to get tier up. I just want to hold kind of your team, Janest. I know that's kind of risky because you're like, I'm missing a stud. I'm missing Nico Collins. But personally for me, I would just like to hold the current package that you do have. Tony, appreciate you tuning in. He said, hey, Caleb, where would you rank Hawkinson rest of season after he returns? When he comes back, I do have TJ as a top 12 tight end. It's harder for me to rank him, Tony, honestly, because if we knew he was going to step on the field, look like he did pre-injury, that's great. But we see like Mark Andrews comes back from his injury that wasn't as serious and looks like complete dust. And so it's hard for me to really rank him higher than tight end 12, but with the current tight end landscape, it's been an absolute crapshoot. So I definitely think you still need to stash him where you have him, especially on tight end rosters that you feel a little bit more needy. But I have him as my tight end 12. Stefan, appreciate you being here. You said, who would you drop 10-team full PPR? Josh Downs, McConkey, Trey Tucker, Tutu, Tank, Mostert, Daddle. Personally, for me, I will drop Trey Tucker. I know he was a great waiver wire ad. This offense is scaring me, Stefan. So I would drop Trey Tucker. Marlon said, thanks for advice. Of course, Marlon. Appreciate you being here. Trick says, I can hear music now. It's nice. Yeah. So shout out Tricks. This is Element. So Element produced. He's actually a producer. And so he let me use some of his beats. Like on the channel. So that's kind of, I got like 4 different beats that I'm rotating through. I'll definitely add some more and we'll play some more. Gage said, you to go. Appreciate you, Gage. Of course. Jaime said, you cover kickers. I don't post any content for kickers, but if you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion. Depends on who you're trying to look to start. Bocce said, pick 3 to start. My team is so injured. Downs, Wicks, Tolbert, Matson, Braylon Allen, Sutton, Trey Tucker. Thanks for answering the questions. Pick 3 to start. We'll go with Tolbert. We'll go with Braylon Allen. And then we'll go with Downs. That's who I'll be going with, Bocce. Janesh said, Texans good defense to stream. They have like 3 to 4 points almost every game. Yeah, last week was kind of a down week for the Texans defense, but this week against New England, it is a good matchup. So I would feel comfortable streaming them. Have them as a top 5 defense this week, Janesh. Bocce said, and should I drop any of these guys for Leggett or Spears? Yeah, I would do it for Leggett. I would drop Trey Tucker for Leggett, honestly. Of course, Steven. Oh my goodness, we got Metro Boomin in the chat. Metro Boomin, what's some more? Should I do Kyron for Gibbs, Pollard on bench, and Evans? Should I do Kyron for Gibbs, Pollard, and Evans? I mean, goodness, if you're getting that package, yeah, give me the Gibbs, Pollard, and Evans, an 8-man. If I'm understanding this Metro Boomin correctly, I would 100% doing this. For sure. For sure. Fantasy Football Girl. Listen, we will be streaming this weekend. I don't currently have any plans, so I'm planning on streaming on Friday night, and then I said Saturday. We'll definitely have to figure out what time Saturday, because Ohio State, I'm watching the Ohio State versus Oregon game, and what time is that? That's a night game. So I will figure out an exact time for both of those streams. There's a chance that we decide we might just stream in the morning, honestly. And then because we're posting a video as well. So I don't want the stream to kind of get in the way of the video. So it just kind of depends. We'll definitely be streaming somewhere between 12 to 6. It just depends on what time that stream's going to have. But I'll have that scheduled. But I'll be streaming on Friday night as well. Gabe says, should I drop Charbonnet? Depends on your league settings. Depends on who's out there. But potentially Gabe. Gabriel. Whatever is potentially out there. I think he definitely isn't having a ton of value with Kenneth Walker back. Noah says 2 and 3 in a 2 flex 12-man team is JD5 CD. Would you trade London, Chubb, Stevenson, Dubs for Tyreek, Connor, Pickens? I would. Yes. That's a good trade for you. Andrew says, Josh Allen, Jay Jettas. How do I upgrade at RB2 long term? Possible trades involving Mason or down tier for Nico for RB2. I don't want to down tier off Nico. I would do Mason. I think you would have to do like a Mason Waddle. It's not going to get you anything amazing. But I think we're going to get in a better position long term. Like, could you do a Mason Waddle for Josh Jacobs or Joe Mixon or James Conner? Like, those would be the type of deals that I feel like we feel better about your long term RB2 spot, Andrew. Jaime said, in my 8-team league, I got the butt kicker, but he's on bye and picked up McLaughlin against New Orleans. Yeah, this week, where do we got Chase? Yeah, I have Chase as a top 5 kicker, so I'm cool with that. Fantasy Football Girl, yay, I'll be on Friday. Let's go. Let's go. Listen, people try to make plans with me, and I'm like, I got a date out here with my YouTube community and the Fantasy Football Girl. So don't tell Tempo. Element said, wow, you're still streaming. Yeah, Element, we're still here. The wife is in bed, so I need to quickly jump and get into bed here soon. But you said Oregon State, Ohio State will be good. Yeah, it will be a really good game. Also, you need to listen to J. Cole's new song, only out on YouTube when you have the time. 100%. I'll go listen to it before I go to bed tonight for sure. Anthony said, I need to have a couple trade offers for you on Saturday. Yeah, for sure. I know Friday's a no-go. It's date night. Shout out to you, Anthony. Shout out to you. And Anthony, first off, we need to address this. You said, honestly, I've kind of stopped watching other fans' channels. I'm rocking with you, Caleb. Well, I'll say this. I have a lot of great friends in the industry. Like I've made a lot of great connections with people. But it's been hard. I think I jumped into this space because I loved watching others. Like some of the people that I looked up to when I started making content was, of course, like Mason over at Fantasy Flock, Ron Stewart, the Fantasy Stock Exchange Boys, BDGE, even the Fantasy Footballers. Like those were kind of all the channels that I watched. And now that I make content, it's so hard because I want my opinions to be my opinions. And so I feel like I can't even watch a ton of content anymore of some of my favorite creators that inspire me. And so shout out to Andy for becoming a really good friend. Shout out to Ron, the Fantasy Stock Exchange Boys. Like, yeah, so I understand. I appreciate you rocking with me. It means the world. Very, very kind words being said. Dynasty 39 said, have Nico and Pittman. Should I let it ride or make a trade with one of my I just let it ride. Dynasty 39. I think we got to play it out. Otherwise, we're going to deplete your team too much, and we're going to be stuck really having some waiver wire ads towards the bottom of your roster. So I'm letting it ride. Not that that's what you want to hear, but I'm letting it ride. Jaime said, is IU a threat to Ohio State? Listen, Jaime. One of my best friends is I live in Indiana, and one of my best friends is an IU fan, and we all the time went to, like, during college, IU, Ohio State games. He knew Ohio State was just going to thrash on IU, but he's thinking about going to the IU Ohio State game. There's a chance I go to that game. So we'll have to see. I'm a little bit worried. Ohio State's next schedule, we got Oregon, we got Nebraska, we got Penn State, we got Indiana, and then we got Michigan. Like, it's a rough schedule. Like, it gets pretty tough here for Ohio State down the stretch. So I don't want to say like a threat. I do think it's going to be an interesting game going forward. So for sure. Shout out to the 2 of you guys that just subscribed. We will be waiting around. I know it makes you wait a minute before you can put in your start sit question. I will be waiting for your start sit question to come in, and we'll get those answered, and then we'll be dipping out of here after that. Anthony said, some great info from you tonight, champ. As always, much appreciated. Appreciate you, Anthony. Catch you Saturday night or Saturday, whenever the stream does happen. Gonna take a quick swig of water, and we'll keep this thing rolling. I'm drinking some blueberry pomegranate sparkling water. Highly recommend. Sparkling water is so good. Keeps you hydrated, a little bit of flavor. But let me know what start sit questions I can answer for you, and we'll get this thing underway. Like I said, shout out to the 2 people that just subscribed. No, it makes you wait a minute for the questions to come in. Oh, Adam. We got Jaime said, also shout out to Boise State running back dude. Yeah, Ashton Genty. He's going to be a legit fantasy football running back next year. So y'all keep the name. Keep the name. Adam A123. Appreciate you for tuning in. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Dude, we answer all start sit questions all season. So once you're here in the community, I post every day, answer all my comments. So appreciate you tuning in to a smaller fantasy football channel. You should start DK or Garrett Wilson this week. Personally, for me, I will be starting DK. I like the matchup this week versus San Francisco. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot, and I think they might get down, so a little bit better game script. Now, Garrett Wilson, I still have him as a top 14 wide receiver this week going up against Buffalo, but I will be taking DK Metcalf over Garrett Wilson, and the fact that you can't start both of them is kind of a sham, so you must have a loaded team. But I'll be going with DK. Appreciate you, Adam. And then we got Anthony says, part of me wants Quorum because Kyron has been putting in a lot. I mean, he has been. I do think there is some upside there. I do think there is some upside there with Quorum, but lot of great conversations happening here tonight. So like I said, guys, let me know. I think I got one more question that I need to answer before we dip out of here. B Silva said, is Flowers and Kraft or Flowers and Coleman enough for Mike Evans in redraft? Is Flowers and Kraft or Flowers and Coleman? Yeah, either of those should be enough to go get Mike Evans. So, and I do want the Mike Evans side there, Beef Silva, for sure. Adam said, I have London and Reed, that's why. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're easily starting those 2 guys. Yeah, so I would go with, that's what I would be doing. B7, so what's attainable for Marvin Harrison Jr.? You could probably say Flowers and Kraft would be obtainable for Marvin Harrison Jr. I have, if we're looking at my rest of season rankings, B Silva, we do have them pretty close. Like Mike Evans and Marvin Harrison Jr. are 1 spot apart. So I'm cool to get either one. Whichever one you can do for that package, then I would do for Marvin Harrison Jr., if that makes sense. But I do like that package for those players. Jaime said, do you think Brooks will still be a great play despite Young might be at quarterback? They pulled the plug on Dalton this past week. I think either. I think Dave Canales loves to run one running back, and I think that's going to be enough for if Jonathan Brooks ends up being the guy, then that's going to be the exciting part for Jonathan Brooks. But Chuba Hubbard's looked good, even last week. So I do think Jonathan Brooks will have some high upside. Tony said, do you think Aaron Rodgers' play will improve with Salah gone? I mean, I don't think Salah's the problem. I think they just have some struggles. I think Nathaniel Hackett honestly was the problem. And so hopefully it does, because I got a lot of Garrett Wilson. So I hope Aaron Rodgers turns it around. And I do think Aaron Rodgers is just getting back into playing football. I mean, five games in. Like, he didn't play all last year. So I think he's just getting reaccustomed, and he hasn't looked terrible, but needs to look better for Garrett Wilson. David DHK, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much, dude. Like I said, guys, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we're answering all start sit questions all year. So I want you guys here in the community. You said Odunze and Daddle for McCaffrey, a good trade. Yes. Give me CMC, 100%. We want high level upside, and that's what you are getting here at the end of your roster for sure. David, thanks so much. But yeah, I would do that for CMC. Adam said you have TJ Hawkinson on the bench. Do you think Hawk has upside to bring tight end 1 rest of the season? I have him as my tight end 12 rest of the season. Like I said, we haven't seen Adam. TJ Hawkinson tore all the L's. He tore the ACL, the MCL. And so that's a pretty big recovery coming back. I don't think he's going to come in and look great. I mean, we've seen Mark Andrews, who dealt with an injury last year, come in, and the athleticism just isn't there. I think the fact that you do have Kincaid feels great because you kind of are banking on, will Kincaid turn around or will TJ Hawkinson be that? I think there's a good shot that one of them ends up being a good tight end for you. So I would just hold on to both of them. I think you're in a good spot. Packers fan, do you think Keenan gets traded? I don't. I haven't really seen any crazy reports on Keenan Allen. So I just assume he kind of stays put. But guys, like I said, we said we were going to end the stream about 20 minutes ago, and we just kept going. We just kept blowing through to answer your guys' questions. We've been live for 2 hours and 12 minutes. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into the channel. We'll be putting out another video tomorrow. We'll be putting out another video on Friday and Saturday. We'll be streaming on Friday and Saturday. So helping you guys win your fantasy football matchups. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Get a good night's rest. If you are in the hurricane, wishing you guys safety. But we will talk to you guys a little bit later this week. Talk soon.